Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lidoma Pubg Mobile Invitational Twist. And I know it, yes, it's been quite a wait, but fortunately for everybody, for me, for you, we are all Gucci, and we'll be getting ready to go. My name is Crowns, and here with me is one and only.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, a couple of little issues here and there on the technical side. We do apologize for it, but we are so happy to have you here, and thank you so much for being patient with us. And welcome, as my main man's Crown said, to the PUBG Mobile Lidoma Invitational Twist. And we've got quite a bit of action, mayhem, and strategy planned ahead of us today, ladies and gentlemen. But first and foremost, for those of you who aren't quite acquainted as to who we are, I'm Red Eyes, your ever-lovable and adorably cuddly caster, bringing you that daily dosage of butt-kickery, tomfoolery, and all-around shenaniganism. And we got some serious action to be getting in with you today. My main man, Crowns, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, the name is Crowns, you know the vibes as always, but one thing I would really love to introduce are the teams that we'll be having playing today. We've seen multiple teams actually battle it out from 2 different regions, or 3 if I may, but we've seen them battle it out to figure out who the best 18 will be to represent each region and show us what they've got. But yeah, we've got the MadBulls who were on a rampage in the qualifier stage. We've got Major Pride, Virtus Pro, Nexus Gaming, the players there from Team GQ, Konina POWR, Dagestan 77, Gaimin Gladiators, and Alpha 7. Those would be your teams coming from the Europe region. And then from the Middle East and Africa region, we have 4K Esports, who I tell you, consistency redefined for 4K Esports, and the same thing can be said about Yalla Esports too, coming from that Middle Eastern region. POWR ESPORTS made it by the hair on their tooth, because I saw them, and I don't know if you watched yesterday, but I did. But anyway, yeah, they did. NIGMA GALAXY with that power-up squad were also able to make it over from that Middle Eastern region, and I promise you, this clash we're about to get, or this twist, I need to get used to calling it that we're about to see. It's about to be hella crazy.
Well, no time to waste, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get into the thick of it. We are kicking things off with, you guessed it, the very first map ever introduced, pardon me about this, the very first map ever introduced into the game. Of course, we are going to be speaking about, Erangel, and then we'll be working our way to that wide open desert, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the dry, arid, mountainous region of Miramar. And then we'll be taking things in on a little bit more of a lush kind of plant-based, condensed forest, jungle-ish area. Of course, speaking of Sanhok, for round 3. And then we'll be going back and doing the dang thing all over again with another Erangel and Miramar to conclude the day. Crowns,
and I tell you, 5 matches to seal your fate. Like, it's 5 matches to determine who walks home with that $400 winner pool prize. And I tell you, it's going to be a lot. Today is not that day to have a bad day. Ooh, you see what I did there?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, these teams are going to be absolutely at each other's throats here competing for this. There's a lot of cash on the line. What sort of prize pool are we working with, Crowns?
Working with $1,000 whooping dollars, with first place going on with $400, second place got sat down straight to $200. I believe third place goes with $100, fourth place and fifth place with $75 each. Sixth place, seventh place, and eighth place will be going on with $50 each. Now, I may or may not be right, but I'm pretty sure that till 8th position, you get about $50 to your name. But I tell you, that is quite a lot to fight for.
Yeah, a lot of money here on the line, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot wait to get into the thing. Crowns, if you don't mind taking over for just a minute, I'm going to say a quick word to the production team just to make sure everything is synced up.
Well then, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Holy Lands of Erangel. You may have missed the playing part, but I promise you it wasn't too bad. The zone, on the other hand, also not looking just as bad, as we do see the players there from Major Pride, there were rumors that, Major Pride, if one player from Major Pride was effect, and indeed the rumors were right. As we just see this moving all around in the ruins area of Erangel. We do see teams scattered all across the map. We've got the players there from Konina POWR just out there on the edge. We've got the players there from Virtus Pro finding themselves in a little bit of an early skirmish. I don't know what Ophase wants to do with that machete. Keeping my eye out. It does look to be on fire, but unfortunately wouldn't be able to do that, at least not against the likes of PlayStation. We'll take that player down, and it does look to be 1 for 2 at Purple. does form up into the vicinity. One player there from the side there of GQ team, currently down in AZ, but as you can see, he's just trying to see if he can lay as much information as possible, but I guess they're going to cut that stream short as he does get thirsty. This is a very slow start going for the side there of Virtus Pro as they find themselves just one more player left in the side there of Folly.
All right, I'm actually going to try to increase the resolution here for the game feed, ladies and gentlemen. We are working with a provided source elsewhere, so I'm going to do what I can here on my OBS end. This looks a little bit blurry for me, so I'm going to see if we can't just potentially find a way to improve this just briefly here.
Then that being said, while he does that, we're still gonna be out here chilling. Regardless, PUBG Mobile is the game we love. I see a lot of you already in the chat going spamming it. The A7, the NGXs, the Gaimin Gladiators, and I promise you, actually, some of these teams actually did show up well. A couple of those other teams not quite doing the best, and I'm talking about the likes there of POWR ESPORTS. They barely made it, like I said. Even Alpha 7 and Gaimin Gladiators was down to the last game for them to actually make it into the final. So that being said, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say skeptical, but I'm keeping my eye out for them to kind of see what exactly they're going to show us today, you know, as we go into the games. But nevertheless, I know it's going to be fun times out here in the Lidoma Invitational twist. Once again, it's going to be apologies for all of the Fulabalus, Oititoitis, and Shikrimidis as we'll be heading into the game.
Yep. Well, finally, we got her up and going, and she is looking a little bit blurry still, isn't it? A little frustrating there, but you know what? We'll work with what we got here for the time being.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hold on. Crowns, hang over.
Alrighty, we do see rotations already coming in through zone a little bit on that western edge where we see Alpha 7 sitting quite comfortably. I didn't really get to see that playing path, but you know, I do see a couple of clusters going on, or maybe not as much as I would have expected, but you know, players just looking to be seated left, right, and center. We just see the players there from Team GQ out here with Dagestan 77, and Dagestan 77 being one of those teams who we know love those early engagements. And maybe scratch that, not even Team GQ is going to be none other, but I believe that's Team UX was. Anyway, we're going to be focusing on you know, what chances right now. I find it's a 1v3 situation. Cover fire does come in through from all angles as he waits for that push. Man's got the shotgun in hand, and he's just waiting for that push to come through. I think that's QLash, CONQUEROR IRAQ, man holding it up there. He does have the shotgun in hand, but the pre-fires coming in through would be enough to take that man back and to the lobby.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen.
Dagestan still out here in the school area. We've seen them defend this area quite well. I'm kind of like keeping my eye out to see if they will be able to do that again today.
All right, well, we got
already coming through. They did lose one player inside of Nigeria. That man is known to be one of the top fraggers for that team. Him being down already is definitely going to affect stuff as they head into the game. As we see Dagestan going for the full send into the main school area, driving closer and closer, Limbo Boom and Keep. Looking to keep the team alive for the time being as we see Crazy loading up that nade for CONQUEROR IRAQ. Just send you through a little bit out of place.
Yeah, this is Crazy of
warding the enemies back, letting them know that they've got company out here, and this company, they're not here to have them. They're not having it.
Yeah, and they are facing the immediate threat of Dagestan's Keep, and he is awaiting an inevitable push here from Tiger. Tiger already on the way upstairs, inbound, all the while Crazy trying to keep the school region a little bit clear from the remainder of Dagestan, and it looks to me like, you know, right now his priority should maybe be about focusing on a new helmet. He is pretty hurt in terms of armor resources. Helmet firing outwards towards Limbo Boom, not getting any connecting hits whatsoever onto him or Shifu, but keeping that pressure rolling.
Definitely be keeping the pressure rolling. One player does get uprooted from the back of the buggy, making things a little bit harder for the side there of Dagestan 77. As we see the players there from CONQUEROR IRAQ already looking to get started, but Keep with the auto shotty. That is definitely the meta coming from the EU region. They're putting it to work as they get one more player down. Players there from Dagestan looking to even up the scoreboard. 2 players down for them, 2 players down for the opponents, but it does look like the players there from CONQUEROR IRAQ, they do not want to let go of this school area. Everybody seems to want to be educated today. As Shifu trying to see if he can lay back the team with the pre-fires. Crazy would be the first one to fall to the third party from Team GEEKAY.
Grounds, is this audio coming through a little loud for you, buddy?
This is very loud for me. I can't even hear what you're saying. All right, well, as you can see, guys, we got eyes on Conqueror's GEEKAY trying to get a revive on his fallen teammate Crazy, the only one remaining. As you can see, they've been reduced down to half of their starting squad. Reba and Tiger out of the equation, switching over to Dagestan of Shifu and Keep. It looks to be an evenly matched fight, a 2v2, a fair fight here for this one.
Yeah, definitely a fair fight. The players there from Dagestan have been keeping their ends, trying to hold up, trying not to overextend. I did enjoy it. They did go for a little bit of a retreat, which saw them lose one more player. But ultimately, they do seem to still be holding as well. And GEEKAY Esports definitely getting aware of this skirmish that's going on here, and they're coming in for the third parties.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's just a little bit of a battle of patience here between these two teams, kind of at each other's throats. And it's understandable why they could be so hesitant in this situation with just money riding on the line and working their way to qualify all the way up to here. They've got a lot of pressure on them. And so they don't want to be making any easy mistakes. They don't want to be presenting themselves as any kind of easy opportunity to the opposing team here. They don't want to run over to Dagestan right out through the open and just be lined up like, lambs for the slaughter here. So I do understand the hesitance, but they're going to have to make a move soon. And as you can see, GEEKAY already enshrouding the path forward to the opponents here, trying to smoke cover their way and give themselves as safe of a route to the opposition as possible.
Yeah, definitely, and they don't even have too much time to waste. We do see yet another zone shift. It does move a little bit to that central area of the west, or west central, if that's a thing. But yeah, it does move a little bit to that western side, and the players there from Team GQ, from Team Conqueror and Dagestan 77 have to get done with this fight as soon as possible because rotations are also something we need to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. With a map like Miramar, it's essentially the off-bred love child of Sanhok and Miramar because it really is kind of the perfect middle ground between those two extremes, which, as we know, it leaves it, relying on the flight path. But this zone situation that we work on here, as you can see, it's going to be a Western oriented zone. And so that's going to leave a lot of teams with a good distance that they're going to need to travel, especially for the likes of teams like Nexus or the OOREDO Thunders. Especially in terms of, pardon me, yes, the Thunders and it is Nexus. Yeah, those are the two who are by far the furthest out, hanging out in the dead zone. And yeah, sure, we actually have a little bit of a comfort zone as it's still only stage 2. But as this match progresses, we know that zone is going to become an absolute monster. Ooh, 4K death of 4K Esports with a beautiful prone shot there.
Definitely the drop shot always comes in clutch. Straight out of the buggy, down to the floor. It gets that one player down. Finding himself at one player disadvantage. And you can just see for Aram. I know this was what I was talking about, with the buggies, right? Like when you see a buggy missing your target, it's instantly that back tire. All you just want to do is take out that back tire. And that's what Amar was trying to do. But Aram was trying to do, but unfortunately not quite able to catch that player, as that player kind of good with the driving. Does look like GQ does seem to want to commit to this fight. They do come in for the full crash. They've got 2 players out here in the vicinity. Death just trying to see if he can hold it up. Team GQ, and this is where I start to go lash on the team, right? Like why are you playing this way? Do you want to take the fight? Do you not want to take the fight? And from the GQ team, it just seems like a little bit of a confusion coming through from their side. It just seems like, they're just running helter-skelter all around, right? We want to actually see a pattern of play because you're in here. You have to make sure you're actually playing like you're supposed to be here. 4 eliminations already to the name, and I think I would understand why they would want to be a little bit aggressive, but at the same time, you have to pick what you want to do. Do you want to stay aggressive, or do you not want to stay aggressive?
Yeah, it's all kind of about picking the correct tactical strategy here for the situation here. And I think given the fact that it is the first match of the day, the fact that we're not seeing an all-out aggressive start, it's a little bit to be expected. We still have quite a bit of action, mayhem, and strategy left ahead of us here. So I do understand that no one wants to, put themselves in a situation where they are at an immediate deficit right off the bat. So the hesitance makes plenty of sense to me, but you got to be careful, Crowns, because you don't want that hesitance to boil on reservation. You don't want to be too afraid to take on your fights. I mean, there is definitely something to be said here for placement points, 100%. But At the same time, you have to be ready and prepared to take on those fights and acquire those kill points too, if you want a real shot at taking home that cash prize.
Yeah, and speaking of reservation, the players here in the school area, I guess their reservation is over. Papa Blue's here to send them back in. We do see that zone go a little bit to that eastern edge, centering up quite nicely on Pochinki. But out here in the school area, that fight needs to be done. We do have engagements also going on that southern edge as we see rotational clusters coming through from the side of Team VST. But unfortunately, we wouldn't be seeing that quite yet. Like I said, the fight here in school has to end as quickly as possible, and the players there from CONQUEROR IRAQ and Dagestan 77 have to figure out when or how they're going to push.
Yeah, well, getting eyes here on 4K's Anaconda, catching a whiff of the opponent here with that UMP 45. And he's trying to catch him off guard. Here's his chance. Kapahala just ready and waiting for open picking right there. Unfortunately, not quite capitalized on. Both teams preparing utilities here, falling just a little bit shy of the mark.
Yeah, but one is going to eventually find one of the players there from Nexus. Is going to be Kapahala, the first man down. Or make that two now, as one more player down from Nexus is failed. And the side there of 4K Esports looking to assert more dominance on the lobby. Exo Machina out there on the top of the hill, trying to see if he can lay a little bit of cover fire, but I don't know. I don't see that ending in any good way.
Yeah, well, getting eyes on NIGMA GALAXY in this Pachinki altercation with GEEKAY Esports. I'm guessing it might be GK, but GEEKAY Esports, we have Hamity trying to assist his fallen teammate Freak, trying to get a revive while his teammates provide a little bit of smoke to enshroud him in what cover that is afforded to him. That's going to leave a lot of the pressure here on Raduf and Hamity here to provide the overwatch and cover fire, and they're going to have to be extra careful because they have the looming threat of RTG Esports not far behind.
I mean, NIGMA GALAXY currently at home. We always see them land in Pochinki. So I'm a little bit confident of their abilities. They do coming in with the default squad that we usually know with Rauf, Lord, Freak, and Hamodi. Coop's not quite seeming to, make the play today, at least for the first game. So I'm very confident with them, especially given the fact that they're out here in Pochinki. I think they should just be fine.
Yeah. Well, time will tell, my friend. Time will tell. But as you can see, Hamity, who's responsible for both of his team's kills, just playing the waiting game here. Same could be said, tuning back into Dagestan here, as Shifu is going to just hold down position here, really close to the opposing threat of Conqueror. Now, these two have been just sort of at each other's heels here for the past several minutes, so I can understand a little bit of hesitation on both, and no one wants to flee back and turn their back to the opponent. But no time to waste, ladies and gentlemen. The Thunders trying to catch eyes on the likes of Alpha 7. We see Carrillo trying to make his great escape here with that buggy. Oh, he's not escaping. He's coming for the fight. And boom, Revo on top with a beautiful takedown via the M4.
Definitely, you have to account for that off angles, and I think that's what the players there from OOREDO Thunder did not put into consideration. Wasem, though, does look to be sending things straight into Pochinki. A little bit of a deadly play, given that Pochinki is not really in that zone anymore. Dagestan still wasting a lot of time out here with CONQUEROR IRAQ, and it becomes sad because regardless of who wins this fight, there is I don't even think they're going to be able to make it into the circle. There is no vehicles around them.
Well, there's always, when there's a will, there's a way in PUBG Mobile. Well, switching over to Major Pride. Oh, no, take that back. Shifu is just wrecked apart at the hands of Conqueror. Switching back over to, this is perfect here, of Team Major Pride. He's got a 3x M4 aimed outward at a member of Nexus, trying to get some connecting damage, doing fairly minimal damage, actually connecting with the hits. But as you can see, he's got a little bit of distance. He's going to have to be fairly careful, though, because there are two looming threats on his backside. That's going to be the likes of Alpha 7 and POWR ESPORTS. Now, whether or not they're going to capitalize on that with the third party is yet to be seen. But, oh my goodness, GQ team almost running head-on into Anaconda. Just barely missing, but now in hot pursuit here.
Yeah, and it's been rotational clusters coming through from the side of GQ team all day long, right? They've been running into teams as they're rotated, and I think that is something they might need to fix. They did get a couple of eliminations off the start, but right now they're just running around, with teams around and not doing anything about it. If I thought you're going to run into rotational clusters, you don't have to try to take out at least one player.
Yeah. Well, Ragnar of GK is out of there. We can see just members of Major Pride holding a position here, and they got a decent positioning here with that open field in front of them. The only issue is that they're finding themselves in a bit of a peanut butter and Scrooge sandwich in between members of Alpha 7 and NIGMA Galaxy. So they're going to have to be aware of not just their front side, but their back side as well. And with nothing but sort of open field in front and behind, it leaves them pretty vulnerable if they don't have a vehicle.
Alpha 7 in a very paramount position in the circle as they hold it up on that southern edge. Happens to be Pochinki Hill. If you know that hill, you know like there's so much line of sight that you get from there. Keeping my eye out to see just how well they're going to do. I'm enjoying the split that I'm seeing from Konina Power just out there close to them. But still, it's going to be a whole lot of trouble in Pochinki because it is looking like the next circle might not even be in Pochinki.
Yeah, well, Caliga aiming in. Oh, sorry about that. We're getting eyes on another member of Alpha 7 who's already sitting very healthily on 5 kills and hasn't lost a single member in the process. All the while, Major Pride doing work on NGX off in the distance. Ooh.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Like I said, that high ground does give you a whole lot of advantage. Players there from Alpha 7 already using it. Up to 5 eliminations to their name already. And it's still trouble out here in Pochinki. And I feel like it's going to be, yep, Pochinki does move away from the circle. Circle is going to go down to the south. And this is where, you know, everyone's going to have to get out of Pochinki. It's going to be a whole torture getting out of Pochinki, especially when you have the likes of Konina Power and Alpha 7 on the top of the hill.
Yeah, talk about an intimidation factor. You know, Alpha 7, whose reputation sort of precedes them internationally even. You know, you see the likes of A7 Carrillo in the kill feed, and you can't help but make one of those quick inhale breaths. And I can definitely tell you Konina Power is going to be feeling a little bit of that pressure as Carrillo has a little bit of a potential high ground overwatch over not just them, but members of the GQ team below as well.
Yeah, and you know, Alpha 7 already showing us that they are capable of taking and holding those long splits, having each player hold on a team. So, I mean, with their position right now, if they're holding a 2-2 split, they're Gucci. I feel like they can handle 2 teams at the same time, just given how good their position currently is on that map.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try something because it seems almost as if the sound isn't quite syncing up, and I believe it's because it's 2 different sources, one for audio and one for video, and I'm curious if we might be able to touch that up a little bit here. I think we should be able to, actually. Let me go give this a go.
Well, one thing I'm really curious about is how this game is going to end. We do see NIGMA Galaxy already running into those troubles that we started to talk about early on, as we see them already lose Hamodi. The revive has to come through, but time, definitely not their friend, not on their side, as they're taking damage from every single angle possible. And this is where it becomes very crazy for NIGMA Galaxy, because they have to get into the circle while trying to avoid the gatekeepers and the stranglers that are out there in Pochinki. But anyway, we scratch that one as we bring you live to the side there of Team GQ as they full send it onto the side there of Alpha 7. 3 players already in the mix. A grenade is going to land. Not going to be able to do the damage yet as Alpha 7 looking to play the defense quite all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Carrillo cooking up a couple of utilities, trying to make it rain hellfire upon the opposition here in GEEKAY. No knocks just yet, but as you can see, it looks to line up. It's going to be good. Money in the bank. Boom goes the dynamite. Carrillo proving just why they have that reputation. And here comes another boom, wrecking in yet another member.
Evil Station down to a slither of HP. Only the gods of PUBG Mobile know how he's not knocked yet, but Carrillo looking to nip the pin in the bud right now with that next grenade that he does send through. Wouldn't get connect, but Korka will go down once again. Carrillo down there. He wins those. It's the 1v1, and he's going to win that one as 8 eliminations will go over to the side of Alpha 7.
We're getting eyes on Hamidi as he pushes the looming threat of Major Pride. It's going to be Molly's raining in, holding off perfect at bay, but he barely has any health to speak of. And look at Hamidi coming in, UMP 45, that CQC Annihilator just laying house here. Ooh, Hamidi taking a lot of damage in retaliation, reduced down to just above half health here.
And I'm enjoying this aggression I'm seeing from the side of Team NIGMA. We don't really see this come through from them often, but they're holding it up quite nicely. They do have one player down, but Major Pride definitely feeling the effect of the players there from NIGMA Galaxy as they lose one more player. Third party really imminent on this fight as we do see NIGMA Galaxy suffering a whole lot from that. Rauf trying to see if he can lay a little bit of cover fire while Lord will be getting the revives. But like I said, this position is a very strong one, and Lord would eventually go down now, leaving Rauf, the IGL, the last player left for that squad to kind of hold down the forts. But he does look to want to get the sweep first, going in for the push. The pre-fires coming in through would not connect as Mono is able to get his HP back up. I hear you.
Sorry. All right. Guys, hopefully the mic levels are a little bit more distinguishable right now. Oh my goodness, Raduf taken out, and look at that, just like that, Major Pride climbing up to 3 kills. But you want to talk about kills. Alpha 7 just swimming in a kill count of 12 kills here, already on the board. Hasn't lost a single member in the process. They are looking very strong right now, and facing the looming opposition of Konina POWR here. Carrillo holding a couple of utilities out there to just make sure they don't get any easy lines of sight on them.
Yeah, and I promise you, this is all just because of that position that Alpha 7 was holding. Matter of fact, I'm actually surprised to see the likes of Konina POWR still alive, but it does look like Konina POWR might just be that stopping force for the Alpha 7 boys, as they do look to be preventing them from making their next rotation into the circle.
Yeah, and Carrillo playing the waiting game. It's a battle of patience here. He's not going to give them any easy opportunities. He's going to belly cross little sneakily, but if he can catch them off guard, then all his patience is about to pay off. You see Obeldoid. Ooh. Switching attention over to RTG Esports, and they are being focused on by numerous teams. Even though they are holding the opposite end of zone, it's just so small at this point that it's easy pickings for the high ground of Konina POWR. Nice. All the while, Palucci of Konina doing a little work himself, getting a knock on a member of what I believe might have been Alpha 7. I didn't see it in the kill feed, but it could have been. Actually, I believe I stand corrected.
Well, I think it's literally Alpha 7 actually winning this game. I'm calling it, and if I cast across them, it's deserved. Because, I mean, they're already up by 13 eliminations, and they're looking to be fired. Because right now, they've been able to push the players there from Konina POWR, push them back a little bit, and there's just that one more strangler from Major Pride that is actually standing in their way.
Yeah, and if you are the solo from Major Pride, you have got to be patient here because, you know, if you can just wait out this altercation, then you've gained your team some extra placement points. A second place finish would definitely be a nice little icing on the cake here to end round 1. Oh, Carrillo desperately needing to heal up, and he utilizes his second to last first aid right there and then, never taking his attention off the likes of Major Pride here and utilizing what geographical cover he can to shield himself from the opposing threat of not just Major Pride, but also members of Konina POWR to his side.
7 going to commit 2 to that compound to push up onto Dino to take him out of the lobby, make sure it doesn't cause any more frustrations onto their side. Carrillo on the cover fire, and I feel like Carrillo should be watching the players there from Major Pride, but Revo will go down as we do see the players there from Alpha 7 now reduced to 2. It's a 1v1 situation between Dino to kind of hold on his own against Mafioso. As we see Konina POWR trying to go for a stretch, trying to, you know, capitalize on that circle.
Yeah, and it's going to be nothing but bloodbath warfare from this point out. And let's take a look at the overall scores. Currently, it's showing Konina with 10 Elam points here on the board, 13 going to Alpha 7, Major Pride with 4. Wow, a lot of kills already established here. We got some definite outliers being Konina POWR and Alpha 7 just running leagues ahead in terms of kill counts.
Well, hopefully they're going to be able to continue with the consistency. Alpha 7, though, realizing that Konina POWR has got angles now. 13 Elim still, as they look to hold on their own. Senna putting in a whole lot of work as he gets down one player there from the side there of Konina POWR, but he will eventually go down as Dino is being so much of a pest to the side there of Alpha 7. Would eventually be the end of them, as we do see Dino now finds himself up in a 1v2 situation. 2 players on the side there of Konina POWR, as they've got Obaldi still alive to hold on the fort with Palucci. The thirst is going to come through, and I promise you, Dino has been doing so much work for his team, already up to 6 eliminations, and that man is on a rampage. They both teams still have the zone, but Dino trying to see if he can just smoke his way up, trying to crawl closer into that circle, looking for the paramount position to play.
Yeah, now the game sound, I just switched it to a different source. I haven't going to use a virtual cable. I think this should sync up the sound a little bit better than having to worry about the delay feed here. So if it is any issues, just let me know in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll adjust before match 2. But getting eyes here on, as we said, Major Pride, we got Dino just holding position in a little sense of false comfort, if I got to be honest. I've seen time and time again these shacks make these participants feel a little bit of safety here because of those 4 walls, but realistically, you're lining yourself up like fish in a barrel for a nade. and it's just easy pickings from that point. But look at this! Speaking of easy pickings, Dino utilizes the nade and just wrecks into a member of Konina POWR as Palucci is taken down. It's going to leave it in a 1v1 between Dino and Obaldi.
Well, Obaldi, we know that man to be a key fragger for that squad. We've seen him take down teams, and right now he's got to win this 1v1 for the team. With the UMP going right now, the of Obaldi. The jump is going to be there, but Dino will get it, take it home for Major Pride, and you've got to give that man his accolades.
Yeah, any way you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, that is game over. But wow, what a phenomenal showing there on that end. Goodness gracious. To say an impressive finish is an understatement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure why the scores are not being sent to us here, but luckily I have a spectator slot, so I can actually manually go over the scores as they currently stand. So, Major Pride securing the gold medal first place finish here in round 1, and they're doing so with 9 kills. 8 of those 9 came from Dino alone, Crowns. We got Konina POWR grabbing second place, and that's going to be with 12. Coming in third, it's the likes of Alpha 7 with 13 kills, 5 of which go to Cena, 4 to Revo. We got members of Yalla, which is Death, Volt, Saif, and Fahidan. They're going to be taking 4th with 1 kill. RTG securing 5th with 2 from Rio. We got NGX grabbing 6th place with 6 kills. Coming in 7th, it's going to be the likes of GQ with 5. We've got members of, let's see, CONQUEROR. They're going to be taking 8th place with 5. 4K Esports in 9th with 5 as well, 4 of which came from Aram. VST securing 10th place as well. Ooh, matter of fact, it looks like we are getting a couple feeds here. And looky here, the MVP for round 1 is going to be Recasao. 5 elites.
That can't be right. I feel like if there has to be like the MVP for this game, it has to be none other but Major Pride's Dino. But I think that's pretty much an error coming through from the production.
Yeah, I would even say, maybe one of the top 3 teams it has to be. These on the spot statistics often can have little glitches and errors, but we know better. Anyways, regardless, phenomenal performance on those ends. But getting back to the current scores as they stand, we've got DG, Dagestan. They're going to be taking 13th here with 3 kills. Coming in 14th, it's going to be the likes of the OOREDO Thunders, securing 14th with 2. Nexus in 15th with 0. And finally, Virtus Pro in last place, also with that onion, unfortunately for them. Well, here it is as the highest damage meter. They're sticking to this. They're sticking to Recasao as the leader in damage with 992 compared to Freepoint and Darzine, 802 and 606. What are your thoughts on that, Crown?
I don't know who Cacao. I do know who Cacao is, but definitely not. That's not his name. But still, I still feel like it was just a wonderful game that we did see come through from all of these teams, and I really like the fact that we got to see a lot of teams frag out. I'm talking about the likes of NIGMA GALAXY. We saw the players there from Alpha 7 also frag out. Who I think I jinxed Alpha 7, and to all the Alpha 7 fans in the chat, I'm sorry I had to do it. I mean, 13 elims, man, they needed to relax. But it did look like Major Pride did have Dino doing a whole lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, I think he may have just dismantled the whole Alpha 7 squad.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was just the start of it. Now, we've seen our participants in the very first map ever introduced to the game, Erangel, but that's the one that they're supposed to be most familiar with, have their synergy built up, and their tactics and strategies the most practiced on. But I'm curious, Crowns, about what's going to happen when we take things to that dry, arid, open desert. I am, of course, speaking about Miramar as we return for match 2 in just a few short moments. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around, and thank you so much for being patient with us through these technical issues. There were a couple last-minute changes, and so we're just trying to go with the flow. Thank you so much for cooperating with us and hanging out. And we're going to be back at you in just a few short minutes with round 2 of the Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Super happy to have you here again. This is the Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist, and we just had a very, very intense first round in Erangel. But Crowns, what are your predictions here as we take things to that wide open desert? A different geography, which means different strategies need to be implemented. As you well know, what might be the ticket on a map like Erangel is not necessarily the best strategy for a geography as different and open as Miramar. So now as we get into this match, before we do, what needs to be said about Miramar? Well, it's essentially the largest map that we have in the game. Now, technically, Erangel is also an 8x8, but that includes Erangel's bodies of water. So realistically, this is the largest map, meaning that the odds of two teams landing next to each other, Crowns, is going to be a bit slimmer. But as we also know, it's the most open map that we have in the game. So, the odds of you being sniped from 300 meters away is just exponentially higher. And the third and final thing is that this map is so large, it finds itself almost entirely reliant upon the flight path to determine just what sort of early game we actually end up getting.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. One, I'm not going to predict because last time I did that, well, we know what happened to Alpha 7. But anyway, I'm not going to do that anymore. So what I'm just going to say for Miramar is, yeah, as you've pretty much said it all, but I'm just going to say, as big as Miramar is, I think we might be seeing a little bit of those early skirmishes. And like you said, it's really dependent on like the playing path because Miramar is big, but like there isn't that much cities to go around, especially when the playing path is not the best.
Yeah. Well, this is, as he said, it's so large of a map that, if it is a opportune flight path for the participants, it could mean something a little less advantageous for us, the viewer. It could mean a slower start to the match. But you know what I always say, though, Crowns, is a more passive early game. That's always going to directly translate to a more action-packed and climactic mid or end game. So it's going to be worth the trade, if you ask me.
Yeah, true that. And this playing part definitely not even the best, as we see just heavily centered on that eastern edge. We've seen a couple of teams looking for vehicles to make it down to their drop locations. I'm talking about the likes of Alpha 7. Do like to land towards that El Pozo, Monte Nuevo area of things, and we can already see them dropping early. Does look like they might be going for a secondary split today, which I'm down for. I enjoy what I'm seeing from there on, but yeah, we definitely will be seeing some of those early skirmishes come through in this game.
Yeah, now I want to say something about this flight path here before I forget. A lot of people might be kind of saying, oh, this is not the best one. It's actually is one of the most opportune flight paths that are afforded in this game. And I know I really shouldn't do this, but I'm going to go put my map or my mouse here on the screen because the reason I say that is the route from Campo Militar all the way down to this prison area, it takes you through two different strings and compounds of cities here. So that's going to leave a lot of drop options here, and this flight path is actually close enough to it to make all those markers still reachable. But look at this zone, Crowns. Absolutely monstrous. The participants are kicking their feet here, and we as the viewers could not be too much more thrilled because half of the zone being occupied by water is going to further limit the participants' options here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we do see from Miramar is that whenever the zone is like this, it usually wouldn't go to the water. So I'm trying to inverse course it so the zone actually does go to the water. But anyway, you see hot drops and the hot drops that we anticipated already coming through. It's gonna be Team GQ once again, finding themselves in a little bit of a skirmish. This time it's gonna be with POWR ESPORTS. We do know that Al-Haji definitely powerful, knows what he's doing. But anyway, Ace is gonna be the one to design the first knock and take down one of the players there from POWR ESPORTS. Anyway. Al-Haji? That's Al-Haji. Anyway, Al-Haji, we definitely know how powerful that man is. So decided POWR ESPORTS down to 2 now as they have to hold their defense against the side of Team GQ out there in El Azahar. Push is going to come through and Halaji second one to go down to make that the third, as one player is going to be left for the side of POWR ESPORTS, who's going to eventually get taken out as Team GQ would reign over them in El Azahar. Yeah, and well, I would love to say Octavian is the man, but you know, Yalla Esports, I talked about them going into today. We saw them show very consistent gameplay coming through from their qualifiers, and I'm pretty sure they will be showing us anything short of that going into today's games. Back and forth shots coming through from the side of Nexus Gaming and Yalla Esports. Pre-fires are going to come through as the players there from Yalla would lose one player down to the side there of Team Nexus. Volts trying to see if he can hold it up. One player already down for them. They have to grab one more revive up as the side there of Nexus draw closer. Definitely not a lot. That man is on the roof now trying to see if he can hold on his end. But it does look like the side of Nexus. They've clocked that. Grenades in this direction, but the pre-fire is coming through from Volt. Is preventing them from coming upstairs. That man holding his own in a 1v3. He's cornered from both sides. Well, what if that was the play? You know? What if that was the play like, I'm gonna get myself naded, so he's gonna get tempted to jump downstairs, and when he does jump downstairs, you take him out. I'm pretty sure that's what they would say, but we all know how this game works. That definitely wasn't his time to nade, and well, it's gonna play out well for the side of Team Nexus. They emerge victorious in that fight. Yeah, well, I'd be surprised if, the teams out there in Los Leones get into an engagement. I wouldn't expect that. We do know Los Leones is one of those cities that's big enough to hold more than one team, so I wouldn't be expecting too much trouble from there. Engagements would be happening out there in the circle as we see the side there of VST Gaming, Vista Gaming, going up against the side of CONQUEROR IRAQ. We've really seen CONQUEROR IRAQ engage in some early engagements all day today, and I'm looking forward to seeing them win this one, as they do seem to be holding it up. Out here, they do seem to be in a 4v4 situation. They're going to get sent out. Maybe not connected yet, but it's going to be all that working quite well for the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ. As they're getting some of those knocks, HP bars are going low. Molotov trying to get the spread to the back of the fence. As the push is going to come through from the other angle, from the side there of VST Gaming. And that is just nice to see, you know, the side of CONQUEROR IRAQ. I was saying that I really want to see them win an early engagement, and that is exactly what they've shown today. So I'm pretty much glad to see that one. Alpha 7 finds himself with the side of Team GQ, a team who I know, and I spoke about them going into their qualifiers, that they're a team that is not shy when it comes to getting eliminations. They're already up by 4, but Alpha 7 looking to hold up. 2 players down for the side of Team GQ. The revive does come up to 1. But the side there of Team GQ still looking to get those Molotovs outside, trying to see if they can get someone to get the Molotov will work as Senados go down. Carillo and Revo will be the last player left, who's going to get grenaded from distance.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my voice is back. I just had to get these audio levels a little evened out. I hope it's somewhat better in terms of game to caster ratio here. But yes, this action has just been thicker than frozen peanut butter crowns, and I am just so curious as what's going to happen here, because this zone has shifted. It is going to be an eastern-oriented one, and there's going to be a lot of congestion, especially towards the coastal edge. I'm going to bet we're going to get some love in there, and the reason I say that is because they don't have to account for the water side. They can turn their back to that region fairly confidently. Well, what we're hearing off in the distance is shots coming from the likes of Virtus Pro from a northbound angle here, and I don't know if they're quite hitting the mark just yet.
Well, hopefully they're going to get it to connect, but we still see a little bit of early engagement. I'm still going to call it early engagement because we're still literally in the early phases of the game. This is stage 2, and we've already lost so many teams. We're already down to 12, and that just goes to show just how, I wouldn't say small Miramar can be, you know, especially when and I said it's, yeah, you also said it's heavily dependent on that playing path, and seeing the way that playing path was, we were bound to see so much early skirmishes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for a Miramar match, we couldn't have gotten too much more hopeful in terms of early game confrontation. Usually, these things can have a little bit of a downtime, a little bits of moments of in-betweenness, and that's to be expected on large maps, which crowns are going to be 4 of the 5 maps that we're working with today. So I do expect those moments of downtime, but we have been left with bloodbath warfare right from the gate here, and I'm a little bit, you know, on the edge of my seat as to what's going to happen. It could mean for a bit of downtime during the stage 3 or latter ends of stage 4. Hopefully not, but we'll have to wait and see here. Getting eyes on Nexus, we see Octavian just trying to enshroud himself in a cloud of smoke. He's got members of Team 5 not too far above him. That is, of course, the likes of Virtus Pro. Quickly switching over, however, to members of Conqueror. We see Tiger with a nice overwatch here over members of Nexus and Virtus Pro. Of Haze, already reduced down to half health, but utilizing what boulder cover he can. I don't think he's going to make himself very visible to the opponent from that point. I don't think he's going to give any easy peeks.
Well, I hope not. They do realize how to play it, at least at this level. So we do know, like, we wouldn't be seeing some of those careless picks coming through from this team. But man, NIGMA GALAXY looking to rotate very close to the side of Major Pride. We saw Major Pride win that first game of the day, and they'll be looking to quite hold it nice. But out there in the northern edge, or make that the northwestern edge of Impala, we've got that little bit of a skirmish going on between Team CONQUEROR IRAQ and the side there of Nexus Gaming.
Yeah. Well, Octavian just holding position here with this AK-47 UMP combo, awaiting the opposition here in Conqueror to make a move. And I think it's going to be boiled down to about the same strategy for Conqueror. I think they're going to be doing the same here, waiting on the likes of Nexus to make a move. And that could leave us with a little bit of stale time, I should say. It could leave us with some potential battle of patience, to speak, between these two teams. But here we see Tiger just keeping an eye on his teammates, it looks like, rather than the opposition in Nexus.
And I think situations like that, what you're just trying to do is, okay, I see you. If you do get pushed, I can cover you to this point. Do you see me? Yeah, if I get pushed, you can cover me to this point. And I think it's just pretty much check to just know exactly where your teammate is, what exactly he can see, what you can see. So that way there would not be so much miscommunications of, oh my God, I thought you were covering me type of thing. But anyway, we do see rotations coming in through for many of the teams. A lot of teams looking to go in through from that southern edge.
Crazy, taking a lot of damage and retaliation, probably more so than he's able to dish out. But all the while, we got the Thunders raining thunder itself upon their opponents here in Major Pride.
Yeah, well, Major Pride, they have shown us that just one man, Dino, would be able to do it. It does look to be moving away, but grenades from Reef would find one player there from the side of Major Pride, but the bullets would not quite connect up onto him to kind of get that one more player down. And Dino, that man, he does look to be a cockroach. He's a master survivalist.
Yeah, see something cover the screen in just a second again. Ooh, Major Pride is out in 12th place, just like that. I do apologize for this going on the screen just briefly. There we go. All right, it doesn't have to. Nice. All right, so Nexus Capahala, now one of two remaining members for the team. Now, they've lost half of their starting lineup here, so they're absolutely going to need to dial things back. I don't want to say to a passive level, but maybe a more reserved approach here, and let these opportunities present themselves to them. Maybe even try to capitalize on some third-party kills. They've already got 4 eliminations to their name, so it's not like they're sitting on nothing empty-handed here. We'll quickly switching over to members of Team 17. This is the likes of GEEKAY or GEEKAY Esports, shooting uphill, aimed outward at Conqueror.
Well, Conqueror making use of what we know Miramar to be, those high grounds, using those high grounds. Well, would they be able to use it to their advantage is the question we've got. But I've got to say, the likes of Team GEEKAY that finds themselves in a compound like this, it's going to be a little bit of a trouble if they have to eventually leave. I mean, they're chilling out there on that western edge or western side of the circle. But man, eventually when they have to get out of there, it becomes a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a bit of a tricky escape, especially, you know, in this open territory, this open terrain where there really isn't a lot of compound cover, or it can become few and far between to utilize for cover. So that's when it really comes down, Crowns, to understanding the geography of the map, knowing the good hills and divots to utilize. And when those aren't afforded to you, being able to capitalize on your utilities and maybe even a vehicle to blow up for a late game cover.
Yeah, hopefully that is going to come in play for many of these teams. Right now, utils definitely have to start getting taken and, you know, kept for that later game. Because right now we're down to 11 teams and 39 players. And this is kind of that cool-off season of Miramar. Everyone's just calm, trying to gather as much information as possible, getting into the circle. That's the only thing that is on the mind. And I promise you, by the time that next zone shrinks, we're going to start seeing a burst of teams go down.
Well, getting eyes on Anaconda. Nice Overwatch position here on GQ. He just rains some fire. And Tofi's actually the guy who's shooting at. Not only does he run over an opponent like a bowling pin, but then immediately retaliates onto the shots put towards him and gets another takedown.
Well, I'm actually impressed with what I'm seeing on the side of Team GQ here, because, you know, this is the Team GQ that I want to see. That can wrap up those elimination points, and we already see them up by 11 elims. The closest to them is CONQUEROR IRAQ with 4, and that just goes to show you just how much the side of Team GQ are fragging out. Still trouble out there on that western side of things, as we see Team CONQUEROR still taking in a couple of shots towards the side there of Team GEEKAY in the building. But man, it's going to be a whole lot of skirmish on that southern edge by that next shift, as we do see all of these teams just trying to gather as much information as possible. And this is exactly what we talk about. We do see RTG though coming in from that eastern edge of the circle. Team GQ coming in from that north. Dagestan is also going to still be alive in this game. And one thing I'm very impressed to see is I can see a number of teams going into this 9th position, holding a couple of eliminations already to their name. We do know that with that new placement point system, you only start to get 1 placement point when you make it to 8th position. So seeing them that as of 9 teams left, there's a couple of eliminations across the board is interesting to see. Anyway, NIGMA GALAXY now making their entry into the circle, as we do see them coming in from that western edge, and that is just more trouble to add on to the west. NIGMA out there in the open though, and that's not something I would really suggest, because, you know, you have to get out of the open, but it does look like if they get into any vehicles right now, they're gonna get blown away.
Well, the options are fairly slim here for NIGMA GALAXY. Lord has a good amount of open field territory in front of him to get through, I should say, before the opposition ahead is to be focused on. And so realistically, to do that, I do not agree with this strategy here of opening fire here on the edge of zone, because the odds of it circling around and favoring where their location is, it's less than likely. But either way, getting eyes on Levo, who's just raining gunfire here, just making the bullets pour over the likes of the OOREDO Thunders. Levo desperately in need of some meds here, and he's going to try to right now. Gets a first aid off. And actually, Tiger's not knocked yet either. They're still continuing as a three-piece here.
This is exactly why they were doing what we saw them do earlier. We saw them looking at each other, and I said, they cover the information. I can cover you from here. This is what I can see. And the side of CONQUEROR playing it to the paper. So speaking of playing to the paper, it's going to be the side of NIGMA GALAXY sending it straight onto that western edge. It's Team GEEKAY to feel the call, to feel the power, to feel the pressure coming from the side of NIGMA GALAXY. It does look like one knock is going to come through. This is what we know Lord to do, as he's going to be able to connect those headshots. Grenade in the hand, he's going to send it out. Is it going to be good enough? That's the question we've got in mind. The answer is yes. He's on for two, as we see NIGMA GALAXY finding that advantage onto the side of Team GEEKAY.
Yeah, well, Lord finding himself in a situation where he has plenty of sound cues given away to him, and he is going to just throw these utilities out, making it rain bombs and hellfire left and right up against the opposition in GEEKAY, and now quickly trying to reorient his attention to an overwatching threat in GQ. That might not be the best idea to engage another team when you're this close to an opposition.
Well, I tell you, and that just goes to show awareness, right? Like, he's aware of how many teams where they could get third parties from. The question is how well he can play with that information that he's just gathered that there's Team GQ way off on that western edge who can actually come in for the third party. But it does look like NIGMA GALAXY will be going for a 2-2 split, as they're looking to just hold on to two different angles in this game.
Well, we got Ralph here, Scar L in hand, and it looks like they're going to be prioritizing the rotation, trying to claim a little bit of early real estate, and I think that is probably the best move at this point, because boy, there is some serious elevation here in this new zone, and that overwatch advantage is 100% going to be contested for. Ralph almost taken out right there and then, taking a massive amount of damage and reduced to below 5% of his health, is able to get a first aid off, but as I was just about to say, like fish in a barrel, just lining himself up for a nade to be thrown in. No need to aim. No need to aim. As long as it goes through that window, you're good.
Exactly, and I know you've been waiting for one of those shacks, because you're like, why do these players keep going into the shack? But that is exactly why you don't go into the shack, because you could get easily grenaded. Team GEEKAY is still holding it up with two players off, as you see actually all the way to the north. Dagestan 7-7, heavily favored.
All right, well, got Riva here of RTG Esports just holding position. Same can be said of the likes of CONQUEROR as well. CONQUEROR still facing this looming threat of GEEKAY Esports. Levo holding position, utilizing the boulder cover as best as possible. Tiger needing to heal up a little bit, but with only a first aid, he makes the call. He's going to use it here and now.
No, how well are they going to use it? Another player out there in the shack is going to be none other but Satan from GEEKAY Esports. And it doesn't look like the way everything can be said about the smokes as they're coming in through. Pre-fires through the window, would not find him yet, but it does look like it's getting into a whole cluster out here in Miramar, as every team can hear every team and everyone is shooting at everyone.
Yeah, honestly, this is exactly what I was talking about. All-out bloodbath warfare here. Getting eyes on Kapahala, holding position right here on the edge of New Zone. He's got a fairly decent positioning given the map structure here. And now Riva, not really moving yet, but he's going to absolutely need to prioritize a rotation into zone. Oh my goodness, there's too much action all at once happening, and Konina POWR Fache just wrecks into the opposition from a nice distance.
And that is going to be CONQUEROR IRAQ out, as Konina POWR look to increase their elimination count already up to 6. Dagestan with 7 and Team GQ with 11. And man, you can just see these teams already wrapping up the numbers, wrapping up the game, racking up those eliminations to their name, as we see that capitalization coming through from the side of Dagestan.
Yeah, and now here we see Zadira just a little bit ahead of his teammates, close enough to operate as a singular unit. As we can see, RTG getting a knock on Obergoy of Konina POWR off in the distance as Zadira tries to focus in on the likes of Satan from GK.
But hopefully Satan is going to be able to hold it up for his team. It does look like Dagestan 77 getting closer and closer to his position. It's only a matter of time before he does get taken out. As we're down to the final 5 teams and 13 players in the lobby. You see Dagestan holding up a good angle. Satan trying to hold his end, but will not be able to survive against the claws of Konina POWR as he does get sent back into the lobby.
Well, Kapahala, not really a lot of reason to push out. Holding the edge of zone, has a positioning, and really isn't much of a focal point to the remaining teams here. So I think he's got the right idea as a solo. Just let these numbers dwindle and try to secure some better placement.
I tell you, and that man has just been sweeping off eliminations one after the other. He's just stealing those knocks. As he sees those knocks, he's stealing those eliminations because that's exactly what he's here for. Team GQ looking to play it a little bit quiet out here on that northern edge of the circle. They have to share it with the side there of Dagestan 77, and I promise you, Dagestan, not the best of neighbors.
Well, Zadira does catch wind of Kapahala and gonna throw a molly outward. I'm not sure if it's gonna be going far enough to get. Oh, as I say that, it looks like Kapahala does take the damage from Zadira's molly, and that boy will burn. That candle's burning bright, and he is out of there. That's gonna leave Dagestan carrying on here as a full 4-piece with plenty of kills to their name. GQ, a lot of kills on the board as well, holding 11 and still with 2 members, Evo Station and Daisy up.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Team GQ can do. They've been on 11 eliminations for like four zones now, and it almost seems like they're being shot in the lobby. But Dagestan, that position that they're holding is just too strong. They've got eyes on every single person who's trying to make it into the lobby, and we know how accurate these sprays can be. As you can already see them sending it out in the direction. One player is going to get found from the side there of Team GQ as we start to see more eliminations drop to the hand of Dagestan 77.
Yeah, and Konina POWR Sangori is taking a lot of focus here from Dagestan, and yep, Zadira wrecks into him. Konina POWR riding on Paluche and Fache, and Fache goes down. Paluche is the last hope for the team here. Desperately clinging to life, going prone for what little bits of cover he can. Will it be enough? I don't think so.
Dagestan.
Goodness gracious.
13 eliminations to their name, and they need to continue after making it slowly but surely into the circle, but I don't know. It doesn't look like Dagestan are looking to have it. AZ gets spotted in that smoke, and that is going to be that last player bleeding out to the play zone, and that's going to be a GG. Well played. Going over to the side there of Dagestan 77.
Wow, what a performance by Dagestan. As they secure that first place finish, they're going to do so with 14 kills. Very impressive work there. As they pull up some of these stats, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go over the current scores as they stand. So Dagestan, as we mentioned, just amazing performance. 14 kills, 5 go to Shifu, 4 to keep. Yeah, it was a pretty amazing performance from that as a team, as a unit. Not only as a unit, but even in separate quadrants here. Even when they're split up and divided, they're pretty gosh darn comfortable in those CQC situations. So very well deserved first place and gold medal victory here for round 2 for Dagestan. We got the likes of GQ. They're going to be taking second. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and switch it over to the scene so you guys don't have to stare at that blank screen. GQ holding second there with 11 kills. Not bad. We got Konina POWR securing that bronze medal, third place finish. That's going to be with 7 kills. Nexus grabbing fourth this time around with 5. Coming in fifth is going to be GEEKAY. They're going to be taking that with 2 kills. Sixth place is going to belong to the likes of RTG with 0. We've got members of, let's see, QX. This is going to be the CONQUEROR IRAQ in 7th place. That not a bad effort on there, and they got 8 kills to their name too. It's nothing to wag your finger at. We got members of the OOREDO Thunders grabbing 8th place with 5. Coming in 9th, it's going to be NGX with 3 kills, 2 from Lord and 1 from Freak. We got the likes of Virtus Pro here, and finally we got some stats here on the board. So Shifu is going to be the MVP here for round 2 with 5 eliminations, 729 damage. Not bad.
I tell you, 35% contribution for his team. That is definitely to show you that that man is doing the work. And normally we would see Zadira be the man actually frag out for the side of Dagestan, but it does look like Shifu's got something to say as we see him getting those eliminations. 5 up on board with 700 damage to go alongside it. That is a whole lot of numbers that man is racking up.
Yeah, a very, very impressive performance there on his end here. Well, we do have a brief moment here. I'm going to go ahead and finish going over these current scores. Oh, well, maybe not. Look at our highest damage here. So it's going to go to Tophies of GQ with 796, almost 8 eliminations worth of damage here on the board. Really nice, strong effort on his end. And it's not far behind for the likes of Shifu with 729, or Konina Powers Fached, who with 709. Great damage and I guess, yeah, great damage all around for the most part and fairly evenly distributed.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you how much work these three teams actually did going into this game. You know, they were pretty much the final three teams left at the end of the circle. You know, Team GQ, Dagestan Esports, Dagestan 77, and Konina Power, right? We did see Konina Power up with 17, or sorry, make that 11 or 9 eliminations. And it just goes to show that these players were actually putting in a whole lot of work for the team. And man, Fached put in a whole lot of work for his team. 400 meters of elimination? Is that possible?
That is very questionable. 400 meters is right past what I was under the impression the render limit was. So I do have some hesitancy about following it, but it can't be too far off. So if it's not 400, it's probably, you know, mid 300s or higher. But looky here, Dagestan with 14 eliminations, plus that 10 points that they're going to acquire for the ranking. That's going to be 24 points on the board right there.
Yeah, and then just when you think, oh my God, they gathered a lot of points, we've got to even look at Team GQ. You know, finishing with only in second place 6 points from rankings, but they still got 11 elims, giving them 17 points up on board. That is just wonderful to see. And you know, those top 3 teams that we saw in this game, they were absolutely fragging out.
Yeah, hey, Crowns, the codes have come out. We need to go ahead and get in these rooms. But, ladies and gentlemen, as we have discussed here, we've now finished not only the first map ever at Erangel, but the wide open desert of Miramar. But now it's time to close things in. I'm, of course, talking about that lush condensed forest of Sanhok as we return for match 3 of the PUBG Mobile Lidoma Invitational Twist in just a few short moments. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Well, currently, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like we have the overall rankings as they currently stand here, with Konina Power literally only 1 point ahead of Dagestan. It is getting pretty intense close action here. GQ team not trailing too far behind, only 4 points behind them with 23. And they stand 4 points ahead of fourth place, which is held by Major Pride. But that is when the competition keeps continuing thickening, as they are only 1 point ahead of the fifth place holders, Alpha 7. With 18, Conqueror in 6th with 15, NIGMA in 7th with 11, Nexus in 8th with 9, followed by OOREDO Thunders with 8. And currently, POWR ESPORTS MadBulls still need to get some damage here on the board.
Yeah, we've actually not even seen them show. I mean, POWR ESPORTS did show up, but we've not really seen the MadBulls and Gaimin Gladiators coming through to play in today's games, which is kind of painful to see, especially given that MadBulls were that team that finished on top when they were coming in through from that European qualifiers. But we keep our fingers crossed and hope to still see them, pull through for the rest of the games today. Remember, today is the finals, and it's only 5 games to actually, determine who the winner is going to be. So right now, if you've missed 2 games, I don't know, you have to come back very crazy in those final 3 games to make it into that top positions.
Yeah, no question that it would be a hurdle to climb. But as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back in just a few short moments with round 3 of 5 of the PUBG Mobile Lidoma Invitational Twist. Just wanted to make sure you guys got a quick glimpse of the overall scores as they currently stand. Hang around. We'll be back at you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Lidoma Invitational Twist. Now, Crowns, we have had a very, very, very intense first 2 rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy. Our participants began with the first map ever, Erangel, and boy, do we see an intense in-game there. And then from there, they took things to the biggest map, essentially the largest map that we're going to be working with tonight, Miramar, and that was a very, very thick competition there. Come that last zone, what were your thoughts on it? Yeah, well, now I said this after match 1 as we entered match 2, but I'm going to say it again because it stands worth repeating. Now, each map is going to be completely different, from another. Each map has different geographies, different types of scenery, which means that it's going to require different strategies and tactics that are going to need to be implemented. And as we enter a map as small as Sanhok, what needs to be said? Well, essentially, it's going to be the smallest map that we're going to be working with today. Technically, Livik and Karakin, and now that new map of Nusa are all smaller, but we don't really rely on those other maps in the competitive esports field too much these days. So this is the smallest map that we're going to be working with today, meaning that the odds of 2 teams landing next to each other is just going to be a bit higher. So yeah, we might be due for a little bit more early game competition potentially. But Crowns, as I mentioned earlier, it's also the most condensed map that we have today. And what do I mean when I say condensed? Most lush in vegetation. There's more natural cover to take, more grass to hide inside, and trees and boulders to hide behind. So you need to be alert for a higher than average number of snakes than usual. Third and final thing, seems pretty obvious, but it's worth mentioning. This map is so small that it finds itself basically opposite of Miramar, which was entirely dependent on its flight path to determine our early game. Here on Sanhok, you can get pretty much anywhere you want, regardless of the flight path, just by deploying your chute early enough. And here we can see quite a spread as Alpha 7 is going to utilize the southeast coast here. Oh, we've already got action on the board.
It's definitely action getting started out here, and it's none other place but boot camp, where we see the players there from GEEKAY Esports going up against the side there of Yalla Esports. We see other engagements going on in other sides, which is going to be the trifecta, where we've got the side there of Vetos Pro going up against the side there of GQ.
Yeah, a tough start for Virtus Pro here. And as we can see, switching really quickly back to GK here, the jump shots are in full effect as they face off against Yalla Esports, and Marth wrecking into the opposition with a Vector before quickly switching over to that barrel M762.
Exactly, and bootcamp fights always tend to be exciting as we see that happening. GK is going to lose 1 more player. Now they're down to 2. It's going to be that angle coming through from that staircase, putting in all the work, but they need to grab those revives as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, that's going to leave C here desperately needing to get some revives off. All the while, that's going to mean that Marth needs to somehow provide some overwatch and cover fire while healing. It's not going to be an easy go.
Yeah, definitely not easy. One player actually has to play cover fire while the rest are going to have to hold on for the rest of the squad. As we do see those revives coming through, the angle is being found by Safe. It's not going to play off that well as he does go down on the stairs.
Yeah, definitely a tough pill to swallow, as Ragnar is one of 2 remaining members now for GK. And yeah, his teammate C is in desperate need of some meds. So Ragnar's got to kind of hold down the fort here. Yes, he does so with a beautiful knock via that AK and some thirst to follow. Here comes the rest of the opposition. And here we have it, C and Ragnar cleaning up house.
One player is going to be left for the side there of... It's going to be left out there for the side there of Dagestan, but it does look to be holding it up. We're back to the trifecta, where we see the side there of Virtus Pro still going head-to-head against the side of Team GQ, and it does look like GQ have found a little bit of an advantage, an edge on that fight, as Toffees does seem to be one up against of it.
Yeah, and Yalla reduced down to its last hope. Fahidin just clinging to life here as a solo, facing a situation against multiple GK members. He's in a 1v2 handicap scenario, outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. But it is a possible altercation that he could come out of alive, and caster cursed as he is just wrecked into at the hands of C.
I mean, those jump shots always come in clutch.
Well, quickly switching over to the likes of GQ, it looks like they might have just finished an altercation, have a brief moment of downtime to acquire some loot and reap the benefits of their eliminations.
Major Pride out here in Pine and too. They do look to have themselves in a little bit of an early skirmish up against the side there of VST Gaming. The net's going to be landing from effect on the top of the roof, and this is one of the advantages of being in Painan because of the fact that you can climb up to the top of the roof, get that extra off angle, you know, fight against the teams that are close. Does look like one player will be found out there. It's going to be effect getting that knock onto the side there of Aboud. Get things started to the smoke. The damage is done, not quite able to get it to connect yet, as that man doing in so much work with that honey badger. The gun in the hands of that man is just as sweet as the name. Engagement though does look to continue out here in Painan. The shots from the behind the fence is not going to be enough to come through to get that knock, as Dino finds himself in a very, very tough situation. He's going to get that knock, but it's going to get returned from the side there of VST Gaming, as Major Pride now down to 3.
Yeah, this is a tough one here. We got Dino coming in, ready and waiting. Nomi able to dish out a beautiful knock before revenge served on a platter, and he's taken down in retaliation, leaving everything riding on Dino and Perfect. And as I say it, Dino's out of there, and Perfect proves quite the opposite. In this one altercation, he is just human and finds himself imperfect, taken out right there and then. Switching quickly over to 4K, we got Ali here, who has smelled the blood in the water on VST. It looks like VST already facing a little bit of an opposition with Kaidos being knocked. It's going to leave a lot of the pressure here on Bisq.
VST Gaming though, they will be so thankful for the side of team 4K Esports for coming in for the third party of the century. But right now, that tank might not go for too long, as it does look like the full send is coming in through. They are looking to push full send it into Painan. The revive will come through, as this is now a 2v4.
Well, this is going to be a tough one for VST, any way you look at it. But they do have the benefit of having some compound cover. And as I say it, Ali just makes it rain hellfire onto Kaidos, and it's quick work for the likes of 4K as they acquire their first 3 kills, and they all go to Ali. Ooh. But like sharks in the water, Team 15, NIGMA GALAXY smelled the blood and quickly approaching here.
What is going on in Painan? It's a whole lot of trouble. Hamodi is going to fall to the cover fire from the side of 4K Esports. But it does look like all of the action is looming out here in Painan, as NIGMA GALAXY will lose one more player to the side of Team 4K.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Well, we see Aram of 4K, 4X M4, just keeping the pressure on the opposition in NIGMA. NIGMA in a very weakened position now, with Alf down, leaving Lord up here at this hilltop, and he is the last remaining hope here for the team.
Yeah, and well, he's got a sniper. We've seen sniper rifles. Oh, this is like the last map I would expect a sniper rifle to be used. But it does look like Lord is gonna be going for a loadout change or a loadout choice that we don't really see too often. And UFP in the hand, looking for the knock, but will not find it, as he does get taken out and back into the lobby. 4K Esports looking to capitalize on that fight as they continue to increase their elimination, now up to 7.
Wow. Not a bad start for the likes of 4K. Yes, they lost a member. Anaconda has been taken out in the process, but one player in as a trade for 7 kills, I think that's an easy trade in my book.
A small price to pay for salvation, but isn't it ironic that you're losing a snake in Sanhok?
Yeah. Well, we got Revo on top, ready and waiting with that 4X M4 aimed outward, not catching a line of sight on any opposition, it seems.
Does look like there'll be a little bit of a skirmish going on further on that northeastern edge. You see the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ also getting into their elimination, or sorry, into their early skirmishes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm enjoying what I've seen from CONQUEROR IRAQ today. You know, they've been actually consistent in terms of getting those elims.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're still going to keep our eye out on them, see just how well they're going to hold till the end of the day, as we do see them now popping off on our screens, getting those knocks and elims. Team Dagestan also finding themselves in a little bit of that skirmish with the side of CONQUEROR IRAQ. But I promise you, these two teams that are going up against each other, they're literally titans fighting against each other, as we see Dagestan already up by 7 elims, and the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ also still chilling and holding up. They've got 1 elimination so far, but still they are a strong force to reckon. Push does look to be coming through now.
Right.
From the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ, as they're heading straight into that quarry area. Definitely not one of the pushes we see too often, because that quarry area is definitely not the place you want to actually take the fight. You know, I'm not a big fan of fighting in the quarry. I'm not a big fan of even being around the quarry, because it's a very, very complicated spot to play, and the third party in that location is very, very easy, as we can already even see the side there of Konina POWR coming in closer and closer for the third party.
Guys, I have no idea what is happening graphically. I'm seeing like multiple things here. But either way, it does look to be like POWR ESPORTS has a bit of a high ground over GQ, and that's definitely something to keep an eye on here. Whether or not they're going to be able to actually get a knock, I don't even think would be that consequential, unless C or Ragnar find themselves in a vulnerable position outside of the main building there. Otherwise, that knock is going to not really amount to much without an immediate insta-push.
We'll be keeping an eye out to see if they would actually go for that push. There does look to be a whole lot of action going on all across the map. Everyone trying to find their route, everyone trying to find a safe spot to stay. But I promise you, in Sanhok, if I'm playing Sanhok, that's the last thing I'm looking for. The last thing I'm looking for in Sanhok is a place to stay, because we all know no place is really safe for too long on this map of Sanhok. It's so dynamic that you have to constantly be on the move.
Yeah, I mean, this map is all about confrontation. Certainly on the larger maps, there are a lot more opportunities to pick your battles, I would say. But this map being so condensed, but not only that, but providing so much natural cover, you could have enemies, you know, within 20 to 30 meters and be absolutely clueless. So it's usually the theme for a Sanhok is, you know, basically keep tensions at a high level and always be ready for a CQC altercation.
Yeah, speaking of CQC and altercations, we're about to see yet another zone shift. Does move down a little bit to that southern edge. Painan is going to be the one heavily favored by the circle, and it looks like we might get a Painan finish. And Painan finishes are usually crazy, and if I'm any of the teams in this lobby right now, I'm going to start looking for my way into Painan, because the earlier you get into Painan, the better.
Yeah, well, it is going to potentially be a battle for real estate. But again, you know, with this map affording so much cover, basically throughout the entirety of the map, I think it's going to mean, you know, potentially we might get some late rotators. Potentially. Now, we can already see the likes of 4K and members of POWR ESPORTS holding a position fairly comfortably in zone. Actually, POWR has a looming threat nearby in RTG, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I withdraw that statement. Yep, I withdraw that previous statement. It's GQ. Pardon the color mix-up there. But it looks like, well, switching over to Konina POWR, not really a lot happening on the board just for this brief moment. We have our first bit of breathing time here this match. Our first little moment of downtime to kind of recollect ourselves here before we reach stage 4 and things start to thicken up yet again.
And that's what happens when you lose about 6 to 7 teams actually in the early phases of the circle. You know, we started with 16 teams already down to 10. We've lost 6 teams in the, you know, in just how many minutes? And that just goes to show like how crazy Sanhok can be. And I wouldn't really blame many of these teams for all of the action that we've seen, or for all of this early engagement, because, you know, they didn't play any Sanhok, but we're going to hold that thought as we see the side there of POWR ESPORTS getting up close and personal with the side there of Team GQ.
Well, we got Tofis here approaching the altercation here with POWR ESPORTS, ready and waiting with that UMP. He's already coming in at less than 3/4 of his overall health, so he's going to have to play things somewhat cautiously. But the nade coming out from Quasi, just beautifully thrown, wrecking into the opposition, and that's going to take one member of POWR right on out of the equation, but revenge is served cold and fast as Tofis is taken down in retaliation, relieving everything riding on Quasi, and Quasi alone putting up his best fight, but ultimately POWR living up to their name and Van Kid eliminating the opposition.
The GQ are going to be going out early in this game. 0 placement points coming onto their name, but still they've got 4 eliminations. Maybe it wouldn't affect them too badly, but anyway, they do look to be fine. Konina POWR out there on the northern edge of the circle, having to face off against the side of Nexus Gaming. As we do see Kapahala, he did get an introductory knock, but he's looking to play it a little bit passively, looking for more knocks as he waits for his teammates to fully form up on his position.
Yeah. Well. All right. Crowns, are you seeing these like graphic? I don't know what you call it exactly. I've never seen this before, but there's.
That's here?
Yeah. Well, it just seems like some of these graphics are duplicating or something in this scene. I've never seen this before, but oh, what a monster nade from Revo on top, raining hellfire onto the opposition of Tiger. The Tiger in the jungle is taken right on down, and Revo's got another nade to add a little insult to injury. Can he get the thirst with another utility?
Well, that's the question we've got in mind. We do know Monstrous Nade is one of the things that makes Alpha 7 one of those top teams in the lobby, but we do see them. They did get one of their players knocked, who's going to get revived instantly, but still, that was a nade and a half.
Ooh. Well, Revo definitely facing the tension here, but what is going on?
I do see sprays coming in through though from Alpha 7 Revo on the top of the roof, and that man is definitely playing that position to his advantage. He knows about that revive, but he's not going to overcommit to that. We'd love to see as the zone continues to move, and all of these teams, they need to start to find a way into the circle. Nexus Gaming getting into full engagements with the side there of Konina POWR as they're able to take down 2, but Kapahala will get traded. Octavian looking to hold on the fort for the team as we see the push going to continue. Octavian, Kapahala, and Kemi having to go on for that push up onto Pelucci as that man is holding it up. Off angle, not going to be Pelucci to save for too long.
Well, Machina catching a high ground advantage over Pelucci, quickly capitalizing and wrecking into him with that UMP 45. Quickly switching back over to Nexus as they try to get some easy bowling ball runovers on the likes of Konina POWR, and it is going to be fit from here on out. We see Octavian potentially catching an angle on a member of Konina Fache, but Fache's going to need to be careful and account for his back end too, where POWR Esports could approach him from a surprise off angle.
Man, if I'm POWR Esports, I wouldn't leave that position that they find themselves. It's currently a very good position. The zone is not all that in the Painan. It's going towards that, right-hand side of things, of the ocean, or sorry, of the lake. So I'd expect that POWR Esports stay a little bit put, stay a little bit quiet, and just wait for all of these teams to make their way into the circle. But anyway, it does look like this last man from Konina POWR looking to hold on against the side of the Nexus. The DVS in the hand is not going to be enough, especially when you've got only 10 HP left, as Nexus Gaming will take out the previous winners out of the lobby.
All right, well, getting eyes here on the likes of CONQUEROR IRAQ. Only 1 kill to their name, but they are in the thick of it here with none other than the bad boys in Alpha 7, and it could spell trouble for them potentially.
Yeah, it could spell trouble for both teams. Alpha 7, they've not gotten any elimination in this game, so they're hunting for it. And the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ also, they've already started getting some elims, but it does look like they've not gotten any. And now the trouble to get out of Painan is one other thing we have to focus on, as we do see Dagestan Esports looking to keep the players there from Team 4K at bay.
Oh boy, will keep reduced down to just a little below 1/3 of his overall health here in this distance altercation as Shifu quickly approaching the opposition in Alpha 7, cooking up a utility. Can it connect? Ooh.
Really?
Did that hit? I don't think it did.
I don't think so. I don't think it did hit, but anyway, it does look like the way out of Painan has been cleared up a bit, but the gatekeepers are active in the side there of OOREDO Thunders. We've not really seen OOREDO Thunders pull up today, and man, if this is going to be the start of OOREDO Thunders in this Sanhok game, I am down for it.
Yeah. It's almost a shame you only get 1 Sanhok a day, but you got to make it count.
I know, right? You definitely have to make it count. And, you know, like I said, these teams did play Sanhok against each other coming into the, or from the qualifiers. So seeing them actually do this in the finals, I feel like they're holding up quite all right as we see beautiful sprays coming through from the side of Alpha 7 onto the players there from POWR ESPORTS as they try to make it into the zone or make that Dagestan esports as they try to make it into the circle.
All right, well, Cena just barely escaping the clutches of that molly as the flames burn so close to him, and the nades continue to rain down from the likes of Dagestan. Cena committed to that molly as he throws it just a few feet away from himself, taken down yet again to extremely low levels, and is able to utilize another first aid. And yes, Limbo Boom does fall victim to it. And look, Cena ready for a quick thirst with that S12, but he can't take his eyes off the remainder of the opposition as he's got Keep just in front of him.
And you just got to enjoy the play coming through from Alpha 7 here. They've got one player out there holding things in Pina, and they've got two players on the bridge. It's a wonderful split coming through from them. They've got every single angle covered, and they set themselves up for a whole lot of eliminations to end this game.
Yeah.
But anyway, rotationals clusters are still going to be happening. The players there from OOREDO Thunders find themselves in a little bit of a skirmish as they have to find a way into that circle. They've got vehicles, but the question is how fast can you drive? Because, man, in the eyes of 300 gyro, the speed of a coupe is nothing.
Well, Ragnar holding position out in the dead zone, and, you know, we were in the back of our minds, we were all wondering, are we going to see the infamous heal strat utilized here on Sanhok? And it does seem to be the case. Now, even with this new scoring system, the healing strat seems to still have a purpose here and some sense of effectiveness. We got Mafioso firing outwards at the like of the OOREDO Thunders here. Ooh, but Revo's down.
That came through from that solo. Actually, oh sorry, that came from the side there of OOREDO Thunders as they found their way onto that southern edge of the bridge. Alpha 7 now find themselves left to just one more player as Senna does look to be taken down now by the side there of Dagestan.
All right, well, Ragnar down to his last and final first aid, utilizing it now and just wrecking into power from the backside, but that is just one member down. Can he get another? Ooh, Van Kid just wrecks into him, ultimately being taken out in retaliation by Osama, all the while Hassan taking out Conte of power, leaving Aziz as the final hope for the team. And he's almost finding himself powerless against the opposing threat across the bridgeway in OOREDO Thunders.
Man, and now it's finally down to those final three teams. Revive is going to be coming through from the side of POWR ESPORTS, but man, Revo is trying to stay as quiet as possible underneath that bridge. Same thing can be said about his teammate Mafioso out there with him, but OOREDO Thunders, though, they are looking strong. 3 eliminations to their lane, maybe not the best, but right now they are looking to have good position, especially with Osama crawling on the top of the bridge.
Yeah. Well, this is where it comes down to a bridge ending. I couldn't ask for a more intense finish here. Osama perched on the pillar of the top of the bridge, having Overwatch advantage over almost the entirety of power. Vanguard utilizing what little bits of cover he has afforded to him with his boulder here, but he's going to have to find a way to work his way into zone and face the 2 looming threats ahead of him in Alpha 7 and the Thunders.
Is not in their favor. It's gonna be that man trying to make it into the circle, but there's only so much you can do, Van Kid, as now it is the ultimate 2v3 coming through from the side of Alpha 7 up against the players there from OOREDO Thunders. But Alpha 7 splits one player on the top of the bridge, one underneath, and Alpha 7 will lose one as Mafioso will be the last player left to hold down the fort for the team. But there's only so much he can do. He's in a 1v3 situation.
Yeah, outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. The odds are certainly not in his favor per se, but you know what? We have seen crazier things happen, and if there was ever a team that could pull off a handicap fight like this, a 1v3 scenario, it would be Alpha 7.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It does look like OOREDO Thunders, they found their ginger. They do look to be onto something. As we see Mafioso just waiting. He's actually quiet. He's been spotted. He's trying to see if he can find one. Indeed, he will. He's up in a 1v2 situation. Molotov coming in from the side. It's not going to be enough to stop him. But unfortunately, the players there from OOREDO Thunders would have an angle and they will take out Alpha 7. Talk about a win.
Wow. That was an intense finish, by all means. Okay, we get it. Match has ended. But You know, honestly, you've got to give it up to the Thunders. I mean, talk about playing the marathon game over the sprint game. I mean, they definitely kept the in game uh, uh, prepared for and made sure that they had the majority of their unit ready and waiting for an in game altercation. Maybe potentially even holding back on the aggressive side for the first few stages and really kind of utilizing those eliminations towards the latter half after some decent placement had already been secured. So good on them. Honestly, implemented pretty darn effectively as they take home that first place gold medal title for round 3 with 6 kills. We're going to give it up. Oh, go ahead.
And I'm looking forward to seeing OOREDO Thunders actually continue with this form, right? Because they're a team that we've not actually seen them show us exactly what they're capable of doing. But right now, seeing them actually get a winner chicken dinner kind of makes me feel good. Like, okay, you know what? Maybe the OOREDO Thunders are beginning to wake up, and this might just be their wake-up call. But POWR Van Kid holding it up as the MVP. Love to see it.
Yeah, really, really nice done. 550 damage is nothing to wag your tail at, but I also only see 3 eliminations, so there's still some room for improvement. I mean, even with those 3 eliminations, he was able to deal out almost twice that amount of damage, so potentially a couple other opportunities were on the board. Yet to be seen, always room for improvement for in the future, but great effort on Van Kid's end of POWR Esports. Well, let's have a look at our highest damage participants here as Quasi takes the lead on this one with 580. And yet to be a recurring theme today is Van Kid coming in second damage-wise with 551, just barely leading over Ragnar of GK.
And it's interesting to see, GK's Ragnar out here at the top 3 highest damage because, GK went out pretty early, especially because they had that engagement out there in boot camp. And, seeing that Ragnar was able to get 540 damage before going out early, that just goes to show that that man was heavily involved in that engagement that happened out there in boot camp. And that is exactly what we love to see.
Well, look at the longest elimination. Now, I understand 221 meters might not seem impressive. Keep in mind, this is the smallest map that we're working with here. So 220 meters on Sanhok, it's closer to along the lines of a 300-meter elimination on Miramar. It's about as far as you're going to be able to see out if you are on a low ground position with that much natural cover being in the way. Well, let's have a look at the OOREDO Thunders here with 6 eliminations plus that first place finish. That's going to put them with 16 points here coming away from round 3. Looking real strong. Great effort on their end. Look at that.
And we just actually see like the points drop, right, from the different maps. Right? And I'm saying this because, we just finished the Miramar game where we saw the winning team get off with 24 points. Second place actually got 17 points. But, out here in Sanhok, that just goes to show you how condensed that map is, that everything is evenly spread, or maybe not so evenly spread because, we start to see, a couple of teams with actually evenly spread because every single team on the board was able to get at least 1 elimination.
Yeah, well, here we see it. Would you mind going over those overall scores for me, brother?
Yes, sir. Dagestan 77 able to find a way to the top of the leaderboard, but not too far off. They're about 13 or make that 12 points. My math is not the best. Ahead of the side of Konina Power, who have been showing absolute consistency going into today's game. Alpha 7 is going to be followed by 1 point behind, and I've enjoyed seeing what I've seen from Alpha 7 today, especially given the fact that they didn't do well on that Miramar map, which kind of makes me a little bit excited for the final game of the day because I know Alpha 7 is that team that likes to actually play well on Miramar. Team GQ maybe not racking up so many ranking points, but you've got to admire and look at how much eliminations they've been able to get, up to 20 elims up on the board already, and that just goes to show how much this team GQ can actually frag out. OOREDO Thunders, like I said, we are not actually seeing them play so well today, but just that one winner chicken dinner pushes them all the way to 5th position. Major Pride out there in 6th with CONQUEROR IRAQ following quite closely at 7th position. Team GK in 8th, Nexus Gaming in 9th position, POWR in 10th with Team 4K Esports in 11th. I'm not gonna lie, 4K Esports, this is not what I would have expected to see from you, especially going into today because they finished top of the table coming through from their region, but I'd have expected to see more consistent gaming coming through from them. But man, I'm still gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
About to say, you can't yell at them when they got 12 eliminations. I understand. I understand that there was definitely stuff that could have been done better, but you got to remember, players are still trying to work through this new scoring structure and trying to find that right nice balance between, elimination points and ranking points with this new system. So I think it might take a while, to really kind of find their bread and butter moving forward. But 12 eliminations, that tells me something. That means, if they're eliminated that far down the bracket with that many kills, that these guys are a very aggressively comfortable team here. Now it's trying to kind of balance it out. What can you do to improve? Work on securing that placement before engaging potentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually want to point this out, and this is as a call to all the teams coming through from the MEA region, right? Because in the top 9, we've got 6 out of those 9 teams coming through from the EU region, right? And I'm just like, nah, bro, no way the Middle East teams are just gonna allow that happen. Because and the 6 teams that we actually even see there, that is minus 3 teams. The only 3 teams that are not playing are MadBulls and Gaimin Gladiators, who have not even show up for any game today. That just goes to show like how well the European teams are playing.
Yeah, man. And well, Virtus Pro, having a bit of a tough day so far. There's still a little bit of ground to cover here ahead of us. And with that, I am super excited because for the remainder of today, we're going to be working on second tries. That's going to be the theme for match 4 and 5. What didn't work in matches 1 and 2 can be accounted for and adjusted for, and we can give it another go. You get a second chance to make your impact here on the wide open desert, because we're going to be coming back for Miramar in round 4 in just a few short moments. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Well, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with round 4 of 5 of Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist. And now we're kicking things right back to where it all began, the very first map ever introduced to the game, Erangel. I do apologize for assuming it was going to be Miramar last time, but looky here, you guys are going to like this. We are left with the most possible opportune flight path afforded to the participants here, a perfectly centralized path heading from the eastern end of Lipovka all the way across the map to the coastal region above Quarry. And this is going to leave the participants with just tons, an absolute abundance in terms of options and where to land. What does this mean for us, the viewer, though, Crowns? It means, well, we might be due for a little bit of stale time come early game. However, that was the prediction that we had in round 2 as well. And, you know, I think PUBG Mobile has proven itself to be something that it can't be 100% predictable. So it'll always keep you on your toes with some surprises. And I'm expecting that more of the same for that as we move forward here. Right away, we're getting major pride jumping northbound to Yasna. Go ahead. Sorry, Crowns.
I was about to say, with this playing path, you can't mess things up. That's basically it. But the zone could mess things up. But, you know, this is definitely like the best playing path anyone could ask for. Everywhere is reachable. Everyone could get everywhere. And it's painful to still see hot drops going on.
Yeah. Well, you know, it all has a purpose, but it looks to me like we've already got some action on the board as 4K Esports rains hellfire here. Ooh! And that S18 is some quick work. 5 rounds in there, but sometimes when you're that close to a shotgun, one shot could be all it takes.
One shot is all it takes.
Well, listen, 4K, in the process of getting situated and getting looted up, they are finding themselves in very close proximity to the likes of Alpha 7. All the while, Dagestan here, nearby members, switching right on back. 4K and Alpha 7. Here we have Ali with an M4 already, lucky to have it this early on, being approached on by numerous members of A7.
Yeah, I was about to say, we know A7 is not going to sleep on this push. They're definitely going to capitalize on it fully. And that man with the auto shotty in hand, the L12K, will be trying to see if he can hold it on, waiting for those audio cues. And I love the way he's playing it, going outside the door, trying to see if he can lay in a little bit of those free fires to come through, as Alpha 7 now find himself having to hold on against his solo. And he's looking to make it harder, but he's going to get taken out as there was just one too many guns faced in his direction.
Yeah, that was S12 versus S12, and now, ironically, everything for 4K is riding on death and death alone here with an Uzi Mutant combo. That is not the ideal secondary, in my opinion. I am not a fan of the Mutant, but he doesn't have a lot of options, and he wrecks into Revo on top, all headshots, getting the quick knock, refocusing his attention onto Cena, but not any connecting damage. Can he do this?
Down to 1 HP though. There's only so much he can do as he will get spotted from behind the fence, and that's going to be a GG well played as he does get taken out. And I don't want to say it's painful, but 4K Esports, they were that team that I was saying, you know what, you need to put in points up on the board, but it does look like that is not going to be happening today.
Yeah. Well, we got Levo here, holding position, ready and waiting for the looming threat that is Dagestan's Limbo Boom just across the way here. Crazy. Not to be confused with Quasi, putting a little bit of smoke cover down, trying to enshroud himself in what bits of cover he can from the building opposite him. And it is going to be a tough one. He does seem to potentially have an escape route. And same to be said with Dagestan, as Shifu pulls up with a little bit of a vehicle exit strategy.
Man, I think Dagestan Esports, we know they're one team that likes to fight over the school area. We did see them lose it in the first game, though, towards the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to play this time. It does look like they're still up as a full squad as they start to push onto the side there of CONQUEROR IRAQ. Some pre-fires will be coming in through, not quite enough to get any knock yet.
All right, well, with Limbo wrecking house, but then annihilation served out on a platter to him. It's going to leave everything riding on Zadira, who's pushing in all too aggressively, but it's the takedown. The opponent has very low on health, and that AK-47 did the job, but now quickly switching over to the FAMAS to rely on. It's going to be a tough one.
Zadira, we know that man to be one of the senior fraggers for that squad, trying to hold it up with the FAMAS, but it's not enough as he does get taken out for the second time in a row. And man, I am so painful. I'm so painful for Dagestan 77 because they were on the top of the leaderboard. And with this game going out early with 0 elims or make that only 1 elim, that is going to push them further down.
Yeah, that is not the game that they were hoping for here in round 4. It's definitely a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes all you can do is pick up the remains and move on, and so that's what they're going to do. Catching eyes onto GEEKAY Esports, we got Satan scoped in with that beautiful Glacier M4 4X combo, aimed outward, trying to catch a line of sight on the likes of Major Pride. No such luck. Major Pride a little bit distracted currently with the other members of GEEKAY here, and yep, it's going to be some utilities coming inward from Ragnar, trying to make it rain a little bit of hellfire here onto Imperfect.
Well, hopefully Effect is able to hold it up, as it does look like grenades are being sent towards its location. There's cover fire and off angles coming through from the side of GEEKAY Esports, so Effect might just find himself in a whole lot of trouble right now as the full send does come through. Up the stairs comes the players there, front team GEEKAY Esports, the jump shot from the side. Full take Effect down, and that's going to be Major Pride losing one player early on in this game.
All right, now, Marth, responsible for the team's only kill right now, just trying to loot up, but keeping his eye outward for the looming threat that was Major Pride. And it looks like Major Pride, for the most part, might be planning on an evacuation route, and you can't blame them. I mean, we are still only in stage 1. There's still quite a bit of time to go, with 48 players spread across 13 teams still on the board.
Yeah, well, it does look like a push is coming through from the side there of NIGMA Galaxy, though. Oh, sorry, not make that GEEKAY Esports. But still, we do see them now going for that full send up onto Dino's position, which is exactly what we're talking about. They did have one player there before, and now they're going in for the full send. The grenade, Dino will get one player down. This man was single-handedly the one who got the winner chicken dinner for Major Pride on the first game. And right now, he does look to be holding his own quite wonderfully well in this 1v3 situation.
Yeah, Dino definitely showing Erangel to be one of his specialties here. And Marth falling right for the bait. Boom. Easy claps. 2 birds, 1... Oh, not a 2 birds, 1 stone. It didn't do any damage to Marth somehow.
I really thought he had that one in the bag, but it looks like he did not, as he's going to fall. The rest of Major Pride finding their way to the vicinity, as we do see the monkey making it here. The knight in shining armor.
Oh, man. Well, Monkey feeling all the pressure on himself and Nomi. And boy, they do not have a lot of opportunity or a lot of time. They're going to try to utilize this brief moment while Nomi provides overwatch and cover fire with these nades to get a revive onto Dino.
Yeah, well, but then the cover fire coming in from Headshot Hill for Team GEEKAY is actually what is keeping them alive for so long. But now that cover fire is going to form up on the rest of the squad, making things a little bit complicated for the side there of GEEKAY. But I think I'd rather them fight as a full 3-man squad rather than fight as as a duo against the side of Major Pride.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you there. And Nomi really had an opportunity there on C. I don't think he's gonna get a second chance to get him unawares, but he doesn't need it. Uh-oh. Have him be ready for him all you want. Nomi comes prepared, somehow surviving that retaliatory fire, taken down to 1% of his overall health, and Dino not much better off, definitely needs to heal up as well. Somehow they get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, well, we do see the side there of NIGMA Galaxy now on Headshot Hill, coming in for the third party of the century, making things very complicated for both teams here. We do see Tweak and the rest of the NIGMA Galaxy team on the top of Headshot Hill, looking to play third party, but they've got friends heading towards their direction. Who they're going to send away, I believe that is Alpha 7. Sorry, with that POWR ESPORTS coming close to them, but they will be sending them away as we go back to this fight between the side there of GEEKAY Esports and Major Pride.
Yeah, man, this is gonna get intense from this point on out. Marth just ready as can be here, but facing the looming threat where he finds himself in a bit of a tricky situation is an understatement. With Dino holding this rooftop, having a little bit of high ground over him, this wall seems to be Marth's really his saving grace.
Yeah, really saving grace right now, as both teams now have to just find a way to finish this engagement without actually triggering or taking a third-party action from the side there of NIGMA Galaxy.
All right, well, Marth deciding here and now that he might use this opportunity to make his great escape. Can he do it before a vehicle explosion? Oh, it does not appear the case. He did not make it but a few feet, leaving everything riding on Satan here. Ooh, look who is coming to work here now for NGX. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Goops, formerly of the Pittsburgh Knights. Well, this is his new team, and I can't wait to see him in effect here. And keep in mind, NGX here coming into this match as a three-piece, putting themselves at an immediate disadvantage, but not straying any kind of shy away from Major Pride.
Well, I mean, you don't even need a full squad to third-party these fights out here in the ruins area of Erangel. As we do see Major Pride now trying to hold it on. POWR ESPORTS now find themselves be on the top of Headshot Hill. And this just starts to get more complicated because it was Major Pride in ruins and GEEKAY Esports on Headshot Hills. Then it became NIGMA GALAXY on Headshot Hills. Now it is POWR ESPORTS on Headshot Hills with NIGMA now fully committing to the side there of Major Pride.
All right, well, Ralph, now apparently very, very nearby the escaping threat of GQ team, and he does not seem to be prioritizing a pursuit, and I don't really blame him right now. He's going to use this opportunity to get a little looted here. But all the while, for Major Pride, Nomi is clearly known and knocked, leaving everything riding on Dino and Monkey here.
And it doesn't look like they want any of the smoke. Them man are just running out of there. They're like, nope, we don't want that trouble. As POWR ESPORTS now are going to come in for the third party of the century. They had been smelling this one all the time. And now it doesn't look like they want to fully commit. But man, I don't know. I thought I saw the side there of Dino running away, but it looks like he wants to stay. He wants to fight it out.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't see a lot of likely escape routes for him in his defense here. But if they were unaware of his presence, then yeah, this utility could be doing the exact opposite of what he's throwing it to do. Rather than concealing him, it could be essentially giving away his general location.
Yeah, but then I would assume that offensive smokes would work out in this type of situation. You know, you just want to throw smokes to kind of blind your enemies, which does seem to be what he's done right now. You know, but they understand that they still have one more snake, one more imposter amongst themselves, which is none other but that solo player there from GEEKAY Esports.
Well, look at this. He decides to equip himself with a double-barrel shotgun, the DBS. However, facing a little bit of molly damage. Luckily, Monkey able to throw out a utility and get a knock before one thrown back by Othman in retaliation that gets him, leaving Dino as the last final hope here for Major Pride.
Man, but that was almost looking like a good play coming through from the side there of Major Pride. But unfortunately, they will lose one more. And now both teams have started out here in the ruins area. Now down to only one player. I'm talking about GEEKAY Esports and the side there of Major Pride. This is definitely not how this fight was supposed to turn out. POWR ESPORTS though, they're going for that push up onto that last player there from Major Pride. We've seen Dino hold it up, clutch things out, but today is not gonna be that day again, as he does get taken out and sent back into the lobby.
All right, well, catching eyes on the three-piece that is Virtus Pro here. Looks like they, you know, coming in at an immediate disadvantage, the same as NGX here, but playing things a little bit more reserved and accordingly. You know, when you come in a member short, you have less gunpowder, less artillery in your favor here, so you're gonna have to dial things back a tad. Not necessarily, you know, like you would a two-piece where you have to really go into reserved, bordering passive. This is a three-piece, meaning just pick the battles correctly. You know, pick what the scenarios that are statistically likely to come out of favorably. And I think that's exactly what Virtus Pro is doing here. And I think they need to after, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Crowns, but didn't they have a last place finish in one of these matches here today? So they got a lot of ground to make up for.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently seated at, like, I think 16th position, or no, make that 15th position with only 3 points to their name. So, I mean, they really need to start racking up those points, you know, because after this game, there's just one more game left. There's only so much points you could rack. But, I mean, the prize pool does spread across the top 8 teams. So, I think that will probably be what they'll be eyeing if at all they want to get anything out of this tournament today.
Yeah. Well, Satan playing kind of the slow game, and you can't really blame him. Well, no time to waste. Switching over to RTG, currently acting as a three-piece, as Caliga is now downed, and we see Golden here. 3x Scar L aimed outward at multiple members of Alpha 7. And you gotta give Alpha 7 credit. They are not putting all their resources in one spot. They are spreading out to acquire multiple angles here on multiple opponents while securing their backside as well.
Yeah, I tell you, we already see them having 4 eliminations to their name, which means they're already off to a good start. They've got the right momentum going into pretty much any fights that they want to take. As we continue to see that zone center up quite closely, close to Rozhok, and man, Rozhok zones not the best. There's one too many angles, one too many buildings to fight around.
Well, Golden, utilizing this wall for deer cover here. Honestly, it's gonna be a tough go here.
Yeah, especially given the fact that we still have 39 players and 12 teams still alive in this game. Like we're bound for some really, really intense late action. And that's pretty much what we've seen all day long, right? We've always been seeing every single game has had that intense battle where we start to see giant teams actually fight it out to close things off for the game. So, man, I wouldn't even be surprised if we see that type of finish going on in this Erangel game.
Yeah. Well, no time to waste. VST riding on Kaido's Abood and Nagato here. Looks like Bisk has been taken down, and here we see it. They're in hot pursuit by the likes of POWR ESPORTS, and the bullets are flying. Quickly switching over to Abroad, who's trying to throw some nades abroad at VanKid, and we saw VanKid in full effect very, very recently. And if he could be taken down with this nade, it would be a huge... Yes, it can be taken down.
That's hard to say.
Oh, well, he is human after all, as was proven by Kaidos, Abood's teammate here. And that's going to be all the reason that Abood needs to push up here. Looking like he's got this high ground overwatch here on Conte trying to leave, but he's going to prioritize maybe even getting a thirst here on VanKid.
Yeah, which is pretty much a smart play. You're out here on headshot heels. Those eliminations could get stolen from pretty much every angle. You want to make sure you're getting those eliminations as quickly as possible. So yeah, VST Gaming, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. 3 eliminations already up to their name. Not going to complain about that one as they continue to push further into the zone. Does look like POWR ESPORTS. They're going to continue the fight out there on the southern edge. VST Gaming are going to lose one more as the fight is going to continue. We'll switch over out to Rozhok now, where we see Nexus Gaming beginning to wreak their havoc on the lobby. They're currently faced off against the side of Alpha 7. And Alpha 7, like I said, they already have 4 eliminations. They're already warmed up heading into this game. So it's almost like they have that little bit of an unfair advantage, When those teams, we know this game is so momentum-based that when teams are already sitting on 4 elims, or even just a couple of elims to start the game, we know like they're actually looking very strong, and they pretty much head into any fight, with so much advantage going on into it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough one here. Kime nearby some teammates, but not quite enough to account for a full squad ahead that lies ahead of him. Quickly switching over to Of Hayes of Virtus Pro, the final hope now for the team. As I said, they entered as a 3-piece, immediate disadvantage. So any kills on the board at this point will be a benefactor here for Virtus Pro. Of Hayes is in a world of potential threat here.
Yeah, well, he's faced up against another team that came in with only 3 players, being NIGMA GALAXY. Coops, the last player left for that squad, having to hold his own up against Of Hayes. And I don't know if they want to share this position, as rotations are going to be coming through to their location or to their positions right now. I think it's going to be the players there from Konina Power forming up on the vicinity. You see Alpha 7 now losing players one after the other as Nexus Gaming go for the full send onto the warehouse. One player is going to drop down. It's going to be Kapahala. Make that Octavian as the push is going to continue from Alpha 7. They're looking strong. That man on fire. It's going to be Carrillo to get yet another knock onto the side there of Nexus Gaming. And that's going to be Nexus Gaming done and dusted. Alpha 7.
Yeah, that is a interesting pill right there. Well, look at this spread, Crowns. We have quite a bit of distance outside of the zone between these remaining teams. But here, inside the zone, the little bit of compound cover that is afforded here is being contested over between the likes of NGX, members of Virtus Pro, and in the distance, GEEKAY as well.
Man, and Konina Power is also in that building. I like to call that building the Recall Center in Rozok Recall. Or maybe the Ruins Recall. But regardless, if you play the classics, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we do see them in the squad house. It's going to be Konina Power taking in some shots. They're being friendly neighbors right now to NIGMA Galaxy, which is fun to see. But out here on the Rozok end of things, Alpha 7 looking to close things up with the side of RTG, Road to Glory. Entry raid's already been sent out, and Carilio, man, that man has been on fire today. He's going to get the first knock onto the side there of RTG, and I don't know if Alpha 7 want to push up onto this fight or if they actually want to capitalize on the zone. It's going to look like it's the latter that they're doing, as they're using that knock as a distraction to get into the circle. Talk about a wonderful play coming from Alpha 7.
Ooh! What a spray by Conte, just wrecking into Evo Station of GQ. Tofis and Quasi trying to assist their fallen teammate and maybe even get to a little bit of a high ground to get this escape route over the hilltop, and it looks like they will do so successfully. Conte reorienting his attention over to the likes of CONQUEROR IRAQ, firing away at Crazy, not to be mistaken with Quasi, and Crazy living up to his name with that DP28 in retaliation, getting a quick takedown.
Has Kante done enough work for his team? That is the question we've got in mind, as the full does come through, but it does look like CONQUEROR IRAQ will lose one more. POWR ESPORTS looking to hold on to their end as Aziz tries to get his HP back up going into the rest of this fight. Snake in the grass, spotted, take it out. And POWR ESPORTS continue to increase their elimination. This is the second time we're seeing them go crazy today. 10 eliminations already to their name, and they still have 2 players left. Man, that is absolutely wonderful.
Boy, POWR living up to the name is an understatement. Aziz falling a little bit short, and you know, we've seen it time and time again. That in-game blue zone is relentless and unforgiving, adding on that extra damage and making it pretty much easy pickings for those gatekeeping.
Oh, the devil from GEEKAY Esports already found his way into the water. It does look like that man is going to be Michael Phelps rather than Satan today, as we already see him putting in a whole lot of work down. Team GK, Team GQ left with just one more player in the shack. Is going to be Tofis, but it does look like Konina Power and Alpha 7 once again looking to be racking the whole of it. I mean, maybe Alpha 7 doing more work than Konina Power right now, because they sit on 9 elims.
All right, well, with Palucci having a nice little overwatch. They only have 2 kills on the board, but you know what? They are still a full 4-piece, and you cannot place enough emphasis on being a full 4-piece come in-game. It can be the absolute imperative difference maker between life and death.
And Alpha 7 now, they know there's a player in the water, and they've got their eyes on him, trying to commit about 2 players, or make that 3 now to the water. Alpha 7 still up as a full squad, like you've said, 10 eliminations already to their name, and they have to find a way to get done with all of this engagement before the side of Konina Power starts to third party.
All right, well, Revo approaching, utilizing what smoke cover he can, and honestly, if you are, lingering there for Alpha 7, there doesn't seem to be a lot of need. I stand corrected. I was going to say not a lot of need to engage just yet, let these numbers dwindle. But as we can see, Fached of Konina Power, what are words, does have a side angle that they're going to need to account for, so they might have to be ready.
I mean, we're down to final 5 teams. 1 of the, or 2 out of those 5 teams are left with solos. RTG with 2 players alive. Alpha 7 trying to hold it up on the shorelines with all 4 players still alive. But man, that position being held by Konina Power is very strong. And everybody in the lobby right now can only hope that that zone moves away from that compound so everyone could be on level grounds.
Well, here we see it, Carrillo with that 3x M4 biding his time, waiting for any sliver of Konina Power to make its appearance to him. And none has happened just yet. But look at this. Alpha 7 as a 4-piece with 10 kills to their name. Even if they didn't acquire a single kill more on the board, they've done a lot in terms of elimination points here in round 4.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, there's only a couple of placement points you get, but still, this is just enough points as getting a winner chicken dinner in this lobby. And Alpha 7 now looking to play with the smokes, getting into the circle. There isn't too much vehicles for them to work with, but still, they have to get into the circle. Konina Power is going to get rid of RTG. As now it's pretty much a 4v4. Except that there's just that one solo in the water inside of GK Satan.
All right, well, Palucci wrecking into Mafioso of Alpha 7, leaving it riding on Cena, Carrillo, and Revo in this pretty intense close quarter combat altercation here. We can see Konina POWR, Ovaldi, and Palucci with a little bit of rooftop high ground that could catch a line of sight on Carrillo if he were to stand up or even go onto a crouched position from his prone. So he's going to have to play this very carefully.
No, very carefully is the word, but there's only so much they can do. Konina POWR get favored by that zone. The one thing that everybody in the lobby did not want is what has just happened, and it does look like they are heading for a second winner chicken dinner for today as they turn all eyes towards the members there from Alpha 7 who are just chilling and proning out there on the shoreline.
All right, well, Pache taking such a hit, reduced down to 1/5 of his overall health. Luckily, he does have this boulder to cling to for life, but one nade could absolutely end that in a heartbeat. We see Carrillo with, honestly, he's going based off of assumption here, but he does have a very accurate line here on Sangori, so his guess is correct. If Sangori even peeks it, it could be the end for him.
Well, there's only, like I said, there's only so much Alpha 7 can do right now. That's all in favor of the side of Konina POWR, but Alpha 7, though, looking for an advantage for themselves. As they would get one knock onto the players there from Konina POWR, but they cannot go up any further. The advantage of that building is just too good as they continue to prevent that revive from coming in through. Carrillo gets spotted in the grass, and Alpha 7 now down to 2 players. One more player does get spotted as that thirst would come through up onto, I believe that was Mafioso. Oh, still not the last man left.
Ooh, I can sense the end is near. One nade.
Oh! Under the buggy. The shots underneath the buggy will connect and will take Alpha 7 back, denying them once again from a winner chicken dinner. And like Alpha 7, they would always come so close, you know, having so many eliminations already up on board. They had 11 going into that game, but unfortunately not quite able to close it up. Konina POWR, on the other hand, were able to do that one as they won that game. Winner chicken dinner, taking it home with about 9 eliminations to go alongside it.
Yep, Konina POWR working with a lot of horsepower here as they take home that first place gold medal finish, and ain't nothing to wag your finger at when you got 8 kills to your name. Now, Alpha 7, as you mentioned, a phenomenal performance on their end too, and nothing wrong with second place, especially when you've got 11 kills to add to the board. Those elimination points are definitely going to come in handy moving forward. We got GK securing that bronze third place title here for round 4, and that's going to be with only 2 kills, one from Marth and one from Satan. GQ in 4th with 2, RTG grabbing 5th with 0. We got POWR in 6th, and that's going to be with, wow, actually 11 kills, 6 of which go to Othman. Here we see our MVP. It shouldn't be much of a surprise. Alpha 7's Revo top with 1,095 damage and 4 eliminations. This guy is doubtlessly a heavy hitter is what these stats tell me. That means even though 4 eliminations on the board, this guy was a lot more aggressive than those 4 kills would immediately believe you to assume here. 1,095 damage. That's literally almost 11 knocks worth, Crown.
Yep, and that just goes to show you just how much work Alpha 7 was doing. I mean, all the way from Rozok, you know, even fact from when they landed, actually, they took in the 4v4 fight, and then they went into Rozok, did a whole lot of damage. And man, look at that, 2 players coming through from Alpha 7 would get that much, would find himself on the damage board. And look at the damage difference between Carrillo and Palucci. That's almost 200, if not even actually more than 200 worth of damage to differentiate him.
Yeah, it's quite a gap there. Well, the longest elimination here, we got Van Kid of POWR with a 291 meter elim. Not bad at all. Kaidos of VST with 265, and Othman of POWR with 252. POWR showing a lot of assertiveness in round 4.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. You know, we saw them so much on headshot hills, you know, going in for the third party, and I would assume that is where all of these you know, long distance elimination came in through. You know, POWR ESPORTS came in for the third party onto NIGMA GALAXY, up onto GEEKAY ESPORTS, up onto Major Pride. You know, there were so many teams that they were just taking out from the distance there. So it's interesting to see you know, Van Kid out here. You know, even VST also doing in that much work. You've got to give Kaito his flowers.
Yeah, and you know what? Alpha 7's performance here in this match was so aggressive that they find themselves only acquiring 1 less point than the first place finishers, Konina POWR. as Alpha 7 takes second place with 17 points. Konina first with only 18.
Yeah, and this is what I was even saying about getting those eliminations, because if you look at it, right, some of those teams like POWR ESPORTS, only 2 points that they got from placements, but 11 eliminations put them up to third position overall with 13 points to their name. And this is exactly what we want to see from all of these teams. So much aggression, getting those eliminations, making those eliminations count.
And here's where things get thicker than frozen peanut butter crowns. Look at how close these top two teams are at each other's heels here. Alpha 7 trailing Konina POWR by literally only 2 points. Alpha 7 leading 2 eliminations above Konina, but Konina 4 points in rank above Alpha 7 for that 2-point lead. It is really thick, and I think we're also seeing a little bit of a difference in these teams. Alpha 7 showing just a slight advantage in these CQC, elimination points, showing me they're more comfortable, in these altercations by a slight hair. But Konina POWR, knowing how to play the long haul and prioritize a marathon over a sprint, knows how to bide their time and wait for the right opportunity to strike just a tad bit better thus far today, which is why they have those extra placement points. Now, all of it is going to boil down to this fifth and final round here as we go back to the wide open desert of Miramar. What is your prediction, Crown?
Nah, for Miramar, we do know Miramar to be that strong mark for Alpha 7. But while Miramar is that strong mark for Alpha 7, it is also a strong mark for Dagestan 77. I think the teams that have got 7 in their name, they're just good with Miramar. The same thing can be said about Team GQ too, because they're good at Miramar. And man, I'm looking at all of this, and I'm just like, these leaderboards have been changing every single game. In the last game,
Yep. Well, only time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, only a few short moments separates us from round 5, our final match of the Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist. We're going to be back at you in just a few short moments to conclude the day. Stick around. We'll be back soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to our fifth and, you guessed it, our final round of Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational Twist. And we are going to be concluding the day with, you guessed it, that wide open desert. Of course, we are speaking about Miramar, the largest open map in PUBG Mobile. Now, as I said in round 2, technically Erangel is also an 8x8, but that does include Erangel's bodies of water. So realistically, this could be the largest we're working with here. And boy, oh boy, the participants are blessed this match with literally a perfectly centralized flight path, leaving them with probably the most drop opportunities that this map can afford. Right away, go ahead.
2/2 right now. It was a good play path actually in Erangel, and now another good playing path out here in Miramar. And man, it favors so many of these teams that this time I wouldn't expect so many hot drops, but still, this looks like a game that is in favor of Alpha 7.
Well, I actually would expect quite a few hot drops this round, and the reason I say that is because there's a lot of teams here who might not have quite as much of a chance here at really taking home much of the prize pool. So if that is your team, why not leave all the cards on the table and go out with a bang? Why not send a message to these playing fields? Because realistically, these teams are competing with one another in so many events throughout the season. So it's always, makes sense to leave an impact, leave yourself a little bit on a high note and leave an intimidation factor. And maybe even change up the fate for a team like Alpha 7 or Konina. Taking them out of the game early would absolutely leave a message. So I'm curious to see if anyone is really going to come out for blood here in this final match.
I mean, when you have prize pool extending up to 8th position, I think we get to see teams play, the final games a little bit more responsibly. That's gonna be the word I'm gonna use. But yeah, it really will be fun to actually see a couple of hot drops, not just any hot drops, but like intentional hot drops coming through in this final game of the day. But it does look like Alpha 7 will be left alone. The skirmish we're going to be having would be with Konina POWR, who are going up against the side of Major Pride.
Yeah.
This is not fun for Konina.
No, this is not an ideal situation for them at all. Reduced down to half their starting lineup, and this early on, when they are the first place holders, is going to put them at a severe hindrance here, especially if Alpha 7 does remotely well in this match. It could mean a notch on the belt here and taking down a rank for Konina POWR.
It's just a matter of three eliminations right now for Alpha 7. Once they get that, they're Gucci. Yeah. But then the side there of Konina POWR, left with Obaldui. I think if Obaldui is still alive for that squad, I think they're still pretty much confident,
Well, we got Quasi here trying to catch a line of sight across the way at Aziz of POWR. And there, as you noted here, in a little bit of a love triangle, so to speak, with the likes of Virtus Pro. So they're going to have to be alert, not just at the looming threat in front of them of GQ, but also their side as well.
I mean, Team GQ already sitting down on like fourth position overall, or maybe fourth or fifth position overall. They cannot afford to lose this fight today. They need to win this at all means. And even the same thing can be said about POWR ESPORTS, because POWR ESPORTS is not too far away from them. So man, these hot drops are actually proving to be disastrous ones.
Yeah. Now we see Conte here just making a very risky rotation here across the open roadway. All the while, Evo Station of GQ making it rain hellfire onto Purple of Virtus Pro.
Not a good day for Virtus Pro, I promise you. They've just been going out early all game long, and they will lose one more player. And this is definitely not fun for them at all. This is not the Virtus Pro we wanted to see today.
Yeah, it's a tough pill. Definitely a tough pill to swallow. But look at Van Kid, he definitely is laying waste here. Definitely leaving a mark for his name tonight. He's been pretty much aggressive the entirety of today, and it's paid out pretty beautifully for him himself. Now, keep in mind, GQ being utilizing a spread like this with Quasi holding an off angle, it could spell a lot of trouble for POWR, especially with Aziz so low on health. And if Quasi is able to catch that off angle, he could either take the distraction off of Korka, Tofi's, and Evo Station, or he could allow them to take the focal point and just come in from right behind and wreck house.
Well, you know what they say about flankers? Flankers tend to die alone. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Korka right now is taking a huge ballsy move, having to go in for a search for that off angle. Because I promise you, if another team comes in for that third party, like Alpha 7, who are just, you know, a little bit away from them, it might just be a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a real opportunity potentially for Korka, as you mentioned, but POWR not giving any easy peeks just yet. Van Kid not going to take the bait. As he goes to lay on his belly, he's just going to hold position here, but this does appear to be that infamous PUBG Mobile door glitch. Ooh, Korka does give just a sliver of his head, and Van Kid capitalizes.
Well, what did we say about flankers? Anyway, it seems GQ instantly at the disadvantage now as they lose one, but we're gonna make that two now as Evo Station goes down. Tofi's and AZ, the last two players left to hold down the fort for the squad as the full send should come through now anytime from the side of POWR ESPORTS. We already see them powering through, coming closer and closer, but Kante will go down as AZ does seem to have an angle. The revive is going to come through up onto one of the players, but grenade is going to be proven to even be more of a threat coming through from the side of POWR. They're not letting that one knockdown prevent them as another grenade will come through or make that the off angle to get down one more player of Team GQ. And GQ, this is that fourth place flashing right in front of their eyes.
Yeah. Well, Quasi coming forward with a Uzi DBS combo, finding himself entirely reliant on that close quarter combat weaponry here. That's probably more so out of necessity than preference at this point, being so early on here in stage one. But with this looming threat of POWR ESPORTS ahead of him, I'm not sure what Quasi's going to do. Korka bleeding out here, not like to be saved. It's going to put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, definitely will put a lot of pressure on them as make that POWR ESPORTS already coming in through, showing us what they're about to do. And yeah, Alpha 7 actually already coming in for the third party. I spoke about this. I said it. If they waste too much time here, they will get third party. And that is exactly what is happening as Alpha 7 already find their way to the
this is
vicinity.
gonna be a
Two
tough
eliminations to them.
Definitely a tough one. My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I thought that... That's all right. All right. Well, Carrillo is able to heal up in time. And this is the beautiful benefit of this geographical high ground. Often when it comes down to Miramar matches, I'll raise the question, what is the right route to take? The geographical high ground or compound low cover? If you have to choose between those two, what's it going to be? And in this case, I think Alpha 7 has the right of it. Getting this geographical high ground, Carrillo has an opportunity to fire with an Overwatch advantage, and if he is to be knocked in retaliation, he's pretty much going to drop out of the line of sight of the opponents below, and it should be an easy revive from that point unless a utility or an insta-push is implemented by the opposition in POWR ESPORTS.
I mean, even if POWR ESPORTS would show up for like a full send in that type of situation, they still will get taken out because Alpha 7 only have one player knocked, which means they have two players who can actively lay cover fire and, you know, prevent any other team from making it into the circle. So also for making that full send up onto them. So man, it is a win-win situation for Alpha 7 regardless of what happens. Anyway, it does look like POWR ESPORTS will lose one more. It is Van Kid going down. I don't know who to, but he is down. That's all that matters. The side there of Major Pride also out there in the church of Chumasera find himself in a little bit of an engagement with Road to Glory. Major Pride trying to see if they can hold it up. Grenades being sent out. Not quite able to do quite a damage, but the one from Road to Glory is excellent. Has one player down now for the side there of Major Pride. It's no me.
Yeah, well, imperfect. Now, right over top of Kaluga here, and this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out here. Kalaga. Well, imperfect now with a potential Overwatch over RTG driving by, and boy, oh boy, RTG making their presence known as Kalaga rips into the opposition. Rio out of there, leaving everything here. Oh, pardon me, that is off in the distance. Monkey gets naded by Kalaga. Kalaga is on a warpath.
Man, that dude, the grenades coming through from Road to Glory have been excellent. And once again, Effect will be the last player left for the squad to kind of hold down the fort. He's out here chilling on the top of the church. The bell has been removed, but that man is looking to get some ding-dings with the headshots. Not quite able to find it. HP very low. He's good for one. And he's going for the free fires, anticipating the push. The thirst would also almost come through, but his HP too low to write him about, as he would get taken out and sent back into the lobby.
Ah, what a tough one. Well, no time to waste as we tune into GEEKAY Esports. We got C, Satan, Marth, and Ragnar in a distance altercation. Oh, no, not a distance altercation. Up against the likes of 4K here. Not far off. C could catch an off angle.
Well, I'm pretty sure those off angles will be played out well, especially in a map like Miramar in the early phases, because the more off angles you have, the more, I mean, it's off angle for a reason. You get to see more, you have so much space to move around, and you can find all of those angles. So, man, if these off angles are able to come through from the side of Team GEEKAY, and even NIGMA Galaxy, it could actually work out well. And there we go. It already did work out for NIGMA, as Rauf would be the one to find the first knock or the second knock onto the side of Team GEEKAY.
Yeah, Marth taken down, leaving everything riding on C and Satan here in a situation where they are literally finding themselves sandwiched in between members of NIGMA Galaxy. No time to waste, quickly switching back to GQ and their standoff here against POWR ESPORTS. It's a bit of a waiting game here for the final hope of GQ, Quasi.
And Team GQ already finding themselves in a tough situation. Like I said, they are sitting on 4th position. They cannot go out early in this game. They need to rack up as many points as possible, and there's so many teams that cannot afford to go out. Konina Power being one of them, who are already reduced to just one more player. But look at the spread of players across the map.
Yeah. This is quite a spread here. We are seeing that centralized congestion as to be somewhat expected around the La Bendita area, because it's going to end up being a battle for high ground, in my opinion, between the likes of 4K, GK, and NGX.
I thought you were about to say another team that had a K in that. I'm going to be like, that's way too many Ks in one game, man. You got to relax. But anyway, we do see the crown of La Bendita and La Bendita in general being a home for so many of these teams. But you just got to look at the way Alpha 7 is playing this game. Like, they're looking to go through the safer route, right? Normally we would see Alpha 7 infiltrate from that northern edge of the circle, but this time it does look like they're going more for that eastern rotation into the circle. What do you think that might be?
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a tough one here. This western congestion here, it's definitely a battle for high ground. Yep. Catching eyes on the likes of Lord, of NGX, putting some outward shots towards the members of GK Galaxy, GK Esports, but not really getting any connecting hits. Lord now going to prioritize a revive on his fallen teammate Poops here, if possible. Anaconda holding that hilltop high ground could be a potential threat there.
No, Anaconda, I don't know how well they survive in deserts, but anyway, hopefully 4K Esports would be able to keep theirs alive, as it does look to probably be getting some knocks real soon. But anyway, we do see about La Bendita being a whole lot of the engagement, as that zone does favor that part of the map, at least for the time being, as we do see that engagement getting started. Alpha 7 now find himself in a whole lot of trouble on the east. Still fights going on. NIGMA Galaxy find himself in a little bit of a skirmish, but it's the long grenade from Rauf, who's been on fire today. We don't really see IGLs frag out too often, but Rauf is one of those, outlier IGLs that is quite able to do that one once in a while, as they continue to stumble up against the side there of GK Esports. Rauf will fall to the third party, and Coops will be the last player left for NIGMA Galaxy. Road to Glory seem to be the one on the third party here, out here on the crown of Bendita, as we do see those shots coming in through. Thirst might be coming in through real soon. NIGMA Galaxy find himself in a world of hurt. It is third party from every single angle, getting pinched by two different teams, being GK Esports and Road to Glory, and the Thirst is going to come through up onto Rauf, leaving the last player left, who would eventually get spotted by the side of GK Esports, and the fight continues. Alpha 7 still out there on the east, being the kings of the east, taking in a couple of shots. The blue zone already looks to be on its way in a matter of time, as they do get drenched in it. Rotations have to start now, as all of these teams now is where it starts to get crazy. Now is where Miramar starts to pose a threat to all of these teams. As we can see, OOREDO Thunders too out there on the crown of La Bendita, and it does seem to be like everybody wants to be on the crown of Bendita. What is going on?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one here. We see Reef utilizing what geographical advantages are afforded to him, but as we note, there is GEEKAY right on the other side, not to mention the distant threat of CONQUEROR IRAQ off in the distance. So him rotating here to this compound cover makes perfect sense to me. I am a little bit concerned about the remainder of the team laying out in open ground.
Yeah, and this all just happens based off of the fact that everybody just seemed to want that La Bendita crown, right? So now there's so many stranglers, so many people left out in the open, not too much cover to work with, and this is kind of sad to see. But at the same time, it will be interesting to see how all of these teams are looking to maneuver and make their way out of this skirmish and this, hoity-toity that they find themselves in.
Well, Hassan looking for an Overwatch angle, not really connecting a line of sight onto C or Satan just yet.
GEEKAY Esports still trying to see if they can hold it up as a two-man squad, as we see rotations already coming in through. That zone is not going to favor the Bendita anymore. I don't even know how you're able to throw a nade that long, but the side there of Nexus, they're doing it, and I'm not going to complain because that was a wonderful nade to go through as we continue to see teams lose their lives one after the other. Down to the final 10 teams, 27 players alive.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
Definitely a tough one. And I'm keeping my eye out on the side there of Konina POWR. They're still alive with that one player. 0 elimination so far. Alpha 7 has got 2, which means they're now on even terms when we start to look at like the total points that both teams have. But man, we do know the placement points come before the elimination points when we start to talk about, the tiebreakers. So man, I feel like that is what Konina POWR is trying to work out here. Having that one player survive for them for so long as we see that title race begin to to show face.
Yeah.
Showcase.
Well, Shifu holding position here with these 4 walls to cover, but the high ground advantage definitely is going to go to Yalla. Whether or not they know of Shifu's presence, yet to be seen. One thing is for sure, though, with Limbo boom down, Zadiro's going to need to prioritize a revive. So it's going to leave Shifu and Keep in charge of really keeping a close surveillance on their territory here and making sure that the opposing threat of Yalla doesn't advance on them.
Yeah, Dagestan just chilling out there on that eastern edge of the circle. They're also one of those teams that are in the title race, currently seated in 3rd position, not too many points behind. They would also be looking to get a couple of points out in this game, try to see if they can push themselves to the top of the leaderboard. But I assure you, if they want to get themselves to the top of the leaderboard, they need to start fragging out now. Now is the time to start racking up those elimination points, because all the other teams that are seated on top of you, they're still alive and they're not sleeping. Side of Yalla Esports. This is pretty much the first time I'm seeing Yalla Esports, really show their face in today's games. Like, I've not really seen them, show what they're capable of doing. Like I said, many of the teams that I saw do too well in that MEA region, not quite doing too well today, especially in the finals. But man, we are seeing some awesome plays coming through from some of the other teams, though, which is quite interesting to see, because we know teams try to keep their strategies to the finals.
Yeah, well, we got Satan. He's got a knock on one of the oppositions in the Thunders. All the while, see his teammate quickly and aggressively approaching the remainder of the team. We got Hassan just ahead, awaiting, as well as Reef.
Well, you can just see everyone just trying to survive for themselves. I mean, there's pretty much solo stranglers everywhere, two-man teams all across the board, as everyone is trying to stay alive as much as possible. Konina POWR will fall, which means the space has been opened right up at the top. Dagestan 77, Alpha 7, they have the chance to climb up the top of the leaderboard as we start to see rotations coming in through. It does look like we can get to the MENA as the Generalis finish, as we do see that zone pushing up to the northern edge of the map.
Yeah, well, Satan reaping the benefits of the elimination. Desperately in need of some meds here, and he's going to acquire what little bits of resources he can. But boy, talk about a heavy backpack on the shoulders of C, responsible for 5 of the team's 7 kills. So if you are reduced down to a 2-piece, it's a good thing to have C in your back pocket.
Yep, the man who can do those eliminations or get those eliminations and play, that key role in getting yourself some more eliminations up on board. And it's actually a good game coming through from GK. We've seen GK actually play well going into today's game. Like we saw them start off bad, but right now heading into this final game of the day, they do seem to be playing it quite all right.
Yeah, I think it's again we were talking about kind of making the adjustments from round 2 of what worked and what didn't, and accommodating to your play style here. Now we're talking about finding the right balance in this new scoring system between aggression and reservation, placement points and elimination points. And it's going to be a different balance for each team, focusing on their strengths and focal points. For instance, Alpha 7, a much more comfortable CQC team than some others. And so here we see Carrillo firing from outside of the dead zone. Well,
definitely not working, and I cannot understand why he's doing this type of thing, because I mean they're reading the Q feed, they see that Konina Power is out of the lobby, so they're pretty much having fun with it, but they're not quite factoring the fact that the side of Dagestan Esports are still alive and they can still clinch that first place position, as Alpha 7 will go out in 7th position with 4 elims.
Well, that is going to be a tough one for them to swallow, but at the same time, considering their main opposition in this match was to be focusing on Konina Power, but Konina with that last place finish and 0 kills to speak of, that's going to be 0 points on the board. Alpha 7 with those 4, I'm pretty sure, not even to mention the placement points, I think it's more than enough to surpass and become king of the hill.
Yep, Alpha 7 needed only 2 points and they got 4. I didn't even make that 6, I believe, in general or in total. Now it's a question of, is Dagestan 7-7 going to get as much points as they need to overcome Alpha 7 on the top of the leaderboard as it stands right now? Because that is where this is where we start to ask those questions, pull out the calculators and try to see how well each team is playing relatively to another one.
Yeah. Well, Caliga is going to hold position. We are down to our final 5 teams spread across 13 people. Fahidan of Team Yalla Esports desperately trying to stick some much needed revives on his fallen teammate Saif and other. Well, time is absolutely of the essence. One good thing RTG has in their favor is they've already got compound cover and positioning in this new zone. We see Aziz of POWR ESPORTS making a risky rotation into this zone, putting himself in vulnerable open territory, and Caliga definitely trying to capitalize, not quite able to do the damage he was hoping for.
I mean, seeing POWR ESPORTS actually still powering through this lobby is very, very interesting to see. Like I said, they're one of those teams that are also still out there in the top 4, which means they still kind of have like a chance to make it in if they're able to play this one quite well. Already seated with 7 eliminations up on board, they do look to pretty much be on the good track to get that one. But man, CONQUEROR IRAQ, they're doing a whole lot of work on that southeastern edge of the circle.
Well, yeah, Caliga just biding his time here. As you can see, members of POWR holding that high ground to his side, but they are going to have just a smidge of a distance to work their way in to get into this new zone, so they might be vulnerable. Speaking of vulnerable, Fahidan, the last hope here for Yalla, just swimming in a pool of CONQUEROR IRAQ members. This is going to be all-out bloodbath warfare from this point on, Crowns.
Yep, and we can already see the bullets going out everywhere. As this is going to be the first man to fall for POWR ESPORTS as things start to crumble right in front of their faces. 4 teams left in the lobby as we're down to the final 9 players.
Well, crazy. Continuing here, you got to give CONQUEROR IRAQ a lot of credit here. Yes, they don't have like an absurd number of kills or elimination points on the board this match, but you know what, Crowns? They are a full 4-piece. And I say it time and time again, but it is especially so on a map like Miramar. Just having a full team come in-game is such a crucial difference maker. It can mean the absolute split-second difference between life and death. So I actually think that CONQUEROR is in a much stronger position than they might immediately appear to be.
Yeah, exactly. They do not look to be a very strong position when we look at like where they're seated in the zone. But just with that numbers advantage, they can do so much work in this lobby as we're about to get yet another zone shift. This is where things start to get really tricky for all of these teams, as whoever these zone favors might just be able to play spoiler. And I'm saying spoiler because there's only solos left, like the solo from POWR ESPORTS and the duo from RTG, standing in the way of the side there of Road to Glory from of CONQUEROR IRAQ from getting their winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, gonna be a tough one here. Well, with Tiger scoping out or trying to catch a line of sight on nobody who's there. He believes that there's members of RTG, but not quite so. He's staring off into basically empty space here. All the while, VanKid holding a high ground advantage over the rest of the playing field. However, doing so as a solo, just faced multiple teams' gunfire, and boom, it was only a matter of time before the elimination there. Even with that smoke cover, those blind shots, those spray and pray attempts were bound to connect at some point.
No, it's a sad ending for, maybe not a sad ending, pretty much good game for the side of POWR ESPORTS. We would see how well that is going to push them to the top of the leaderboard. Bear in mind, Dagestan 77 still alive in this game. There are 3 teams left, and they are one of those 3 teams, and they're just playing it very quietly, hoping that the side of CONQUEROR IRAQ just gets started with Road to Glory instead of them.
Yeah. Well, here we have it. The final showdown. 3 teams remain, 8 people on the board, and not a lot of space between them is afforded here. RTG, CONQUEROR, and Dagestan. Let's get it.
Dagestan 77, though, they are aware of who is around them. Throwing out the grenades might just be exposing their positions a little bit, but they do look to be holding it up. CONQUEROR IRAQ, though, they've got their eyes fixated on Road to Glory. They seem to want to take out Road to Glory first, and I think that works out well in favor for the side there of Dagestan 77, as we do see Road to Glory trying to smoke up, finding a way into that new circle.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a tough one here, and Levo just biding his time. I believe, if you are one of these underdogs like RTG or Dagestan 77, you want to sort of lay out of the line of fire here and ideally let those other 2 teams duke it out, so you at the very least have that extra bit of placement points in your favor. But here we see that opportunity is not always afforded, and here we have Shifu being wrecked upon, and yes, he does go down. Levo, understandably, with a quick finish, but taken down in retaliation.
Well, Dagestan has got Shifu going in a 1-3 situation, having to even ward off third party from Callaghan, Road to Glory, who would eventually take him out. We're down to the final 2 teams. Road to Glory, though, they still look strong as CONQUEROR IRAQ. They've lost 1 player now. That player is not. He has to get revived, and I made that RTG with 7 elims, looking to push up onto this compound slowly but surely.
Well, that's a tough one.
Definitely is a tough one. Kalaga just trying to hold it up behind the fence, but I don't know, man. They do not have that numbers advantage that we speak about. Only 2 players alive to kind of hold down the fort. It's maybe not the best, and they're aware of where both players are. CONQUEROR IRAQ. It's just a question of how well do they want to capitalize. How do they want to isolate each player, kind of figure out where they're going to push. The pre-fires are coming in through, but those bullets would not be able to pierce through the walls, wouldn't be able to pierce through the cover fire coming in from the top of the hill, trying to see if they can protect Kalaga. It's not going to be enough as Kalaga does lose his one, and that is going to be a GG well played. That's players there from CONQUEROR IRAQ looking to close the day with a winner chicken dinner. Road to Glory not quite looking to give them the elimination point as he goes down to the blue zone, and CONQUEROR IRAQ would grab another winner with that chicken dinner to close out the day with 7 eliminations to go alongside it.
Boy, wow. We were talking about leaving a lasting impact and mark here, and boy, did CONQUEROR IRAQ do just that. As you were mentioning, multiple, chicken dinners. The taste of chicken is very present on their tongue, and they're going to get a gold medal first place finish here to end round 5, to end the event and the day itself. And 7 elimination points on top of it, almost perfectly distributed. Everyone pulling their fair share.
And that's actually good to see. And we were saying it, they didn't seem to have like the most of eliminations going into that 5th phase of the game. But man, did they find a way to close it out. 7 eliminations, and it would have been 8 provided RTG decided to give them that elimination points. But that player is like, nope, I'm gonna go down to Papa Blue instead. And we do know how well or how much just that 1 elimination could actually play. VanKid twice in a row, that's it, I believe.
I was just about to say, VanKid, talk about leaving a mark and an impact on an event. VanKid has I hate to say this, but he's almost separated himself from his team, making such an impact. He's responsible for all 7 of the team's kills. Look at that, highest damage, 1,317. That is only seconded by Tiger and Caliga, who have almost half of that. Not to mention,
he still has the most heliums on top, like the
Yeah.
longest heliums too.
add
This
insult to
man was
injury.
powering through,
Yeah.
I tell you.
This guy, Van Kid, whether, I don't know if he's named that because he's living in a van, but if so, he paid all the money to a good network connection because that boy is on fire. And looky here. Wow. 7 eliminations on top of the first place in ranking points. It's going to be 17 points on the board.
17 points on the board is what you look at. I'm looking at Alpha 7, Dagestan 77, POWR ESPORTS, because these are the teams that were in contention for that first place position. I mean, I'm not going to say Konina POWR because they went out way early, but man, the points on the board, are they enough? Alpha 7 was able to do 5. It may have been enough for Alpha 7, but Dagestan able to do 8? I think it's going to be cutting it close.
Oh my gosh! Escaping the likes of Konina POWR's grip and somehow surmounting him, becoming the king of the hill in the very last match, Alpha 7 with a beautiful finish and a well-deserved 50 points on the board, even though they weren't able to even really make it all the way to the end game. All they had to do was surpass Konina this time, and boy, did they do so in spades. If you look at the heads up here, they lead Konina in terms of elimination points, but here's where they close the gap. They just surviving that little bit of extra time. They're only 3 rank points behind. So overall, it was all they needed for that little slight gap and to acquire that victory and a well-deserved win. I absolutely understand why reputation precedes him. Alpha 7, beautiful performance.
And you could just see they started the day very strong and then they ended the day being winners of the tournament. To think that Alpha 7 was one of those teams who struggled to get into the finals. Like, it was down to the last game that made them qualify into the finals, and it came down to the last game to decide that they will be the winners of the finals. Talk about a way to close the game, as Alpha 7 would emerge as winners of the Lidoma Pubg Mobile Invitational twist. But I really enjoyed what I saw from the leaderboard and even spread. And just that chicken dinner from CONQUEROR IRAQ was able to push CONQUEROR IRAQ up to 4th position on the leaderboard.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, Crowns, I'm going to let you go ahead and give a quick little breakdown run through here to summarize sort of the general experience here. I'm going to have a quick brief word here with the production team in the background.
Anyway, we did see craziness come through as we started the day with Konina. No, sorry, make that major pride, taking home that winner chicken dinner in Erangel. Then we went all the way to Miramar, where we saw the side there of I believe it was who took the Konina POWR, actually. Konina POWR getting that second map of the day, taking it home. Then we went straight into Sanhok, where we saw the likes there of I believe it was it GEEKAY or was it POWR? But anyway, we did go into Sanhok and we saw a whole lot of craziness come through. We went back into Erangel, where we saw the likes of Konina POWR get their second winner chicken dinner again, and one would think that would have been enough to make Konina POWR be the winners of the tournament today, but it does turn out that nope. Alpha 7 had other things to say in Miramar, as they did close it out in Miramar, but we did ultimately see CONQUEROR IRAQ get that winner chicken dinner up on the board. And this was something that we really mentioned about CONQUEROR IRAQ, not really pulling up with those eliminations today, but they were able to get 27 in total for the day, which is kind of nice to see. And I've got to give props to some of the other teams. I got to give props to the likes of OOREDO Thunders and Team GEEKAY. OOREDO Thunders and GEEKAY started off the day on a very, very bad foot, especially.
Yeah, Konina running on horsepower alone, all dad jokes intended. They put up such a great show today, but unfortunately just lost their footing due to, a little bit of hesitancy in the moment, yes, but also a bit of bad luck, just, on a map as large as Miramar, the odds of dropping on top of a team like that a little bit slimmer, and just being underutilized in terms of resources and armor, it sort of put them in an immediate hindrance, and losing half of their team right off the bat, it was a weak point at that point from them moving forward. And honestly, if you were Alpha 7 and you saw Konina POWR eliminated in the kill feed, you know, you like, hey, we don't need to do anywhere near as much as we previously thought. All we got to do is scooch by. And you know what? Alpha 7, just phenomenal performance. Really playing that long haul. But you know what really stands out to me is stamina and endurance. Konina POWR proving that they are a phenomenal, phenomenal team here. But burning out just a tad early here. And now this is a 5-round finish here. So yeah, it definitely takes a lot of endurance here, and to maintain your focus for 5 matches, it's asking a lot. It is. And you know what? I do think Konina POWR deserves credit where credit is due. It's not like they are not getting paid out here. It just, unfortunately, that first place title slipping away from them in the last match. Yeah. You know, it is kind of going to note, like, what's a harder pill to swallow? Doing poorly, or doing so good that you almost, get it. It's what, honestly, it's just a tough pill to swallow. But I think the main takeaway that they should have here is just what a strong showing overall. And that should be motivating for them. Just fuel for the fire for moving forward, because we've got a lot of action ahead of us in PUBG Mobile esports, especially here in this scene. A lot of these teams are going to be facing off with each other quite recurrently. And I think, doing well, even if you don't get the dub, even if you don't get the finish you were hoping for, you still made your lasting impact. Yeah, I think you're 100% right, and just Virtus Pro absolutely deserves to be credited where credit is due. Just yesterday in a different event, I was saying there's a reason they're not called the Virtus Noobs. Okay, uh, they definitely are a phenomenal team, and I think every team, regardless of who you are, has their off days. Case in point, Paraboy in PMGC, the nade on his own team. That ultimately was their undoing in Sanhok. I think, Paraboy might be the highest paid PUBG Mobile competitive player in the game, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, mistakes happen at every level. We're all human. This is a game, and there's always going to be accountability and room for error here. But it's what you do moving forward, how you pick yourself and your team back up, and you roll with the punches. And I hope that these teams don't get too discouraged, because, wow, what an elevated level of gameplay we saw over the Lidoma PUBG Mobile Invitational twist. Well, ladies and gentlemen, oh, sorry about that, buddy. Go ahead. Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure getting to cast this event for you guys today. Again, thank you so much for being patient and working with us as we conquered a couple last minute technical hindrances. We ended up getting it going and got the feed going, and we did the dang thing. We had a good time with it. It's been an absolute blast. And until next time, I'm Red Eyes. You can find me on social media, redeyes_official, as well as hosting a monthly $450 tournament. This is Crowns Cast. It's been a blast. See you next time.